I'm Christine Lisi. Former Northwestern football coach Pat Fitzgerald, University President Michael Schill, and Athletic Director Derek Gregg listed as defendants in a lawsuit filed today by a former player. He alleges the program and its leaders were negligent for allowing hazing inside the team's locker room. The Chargers' Austin Eckler among those voicing frustrations with the NFL's soft running back market. He wants answers from owners on the absence of long-term deals before yesterday's deadline for fellow running backs Saquon Barkley of the Giants, Raiders' Josh Jacobs, and Cowboys' Tony Pollard. For change to happen, though, the union needs to act, advises ESPN's Damian Woody.
I think this is something that the NFLPA is going to have to look at and try to figure out, do we have to have some type of special designation for running backs, carve out something for running? They got to do something, look into this more in order to figure out this running back situation, because right now it's just ridiculous.
Damian Woody on ESPN Radio Mornings. Rory McIlroy looking to end a 9-year major title drought. Headlines the pairings for this week's British Open along with Jon Rahm and Justin Rose. They tee off round 1, 10 a.m. Thursday.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR from Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days in Nashville, Tennessee. Our coverage brought to you by Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Day 2, and we are about halfway through, a little more than halfway through of Day 2 as we speak. Mississippi State and Auburn are taking their turns. Earlier this morning, it was Vanderbilt and Georgia. Of course, Kirby Smart got a lot of questions about three-peating and all the things that you would anticipate. Clark Lee and Vanderbilt, can they reach bowl eligibility? I'll remind you, sometimes we might forget about this because Vandy oftentimes is out of sight, out of mind if LSU's not playing them. But what's interesting is Vandy is a team that year 1 under Clark Lee were 2-10. Year 2, they were 5-7. Is this a year where Vanderbilt can break through and get to bowl eligibility and become more than just the league's doormat and a team that every team in the league would have to at least consider, hey, you can't just take the Sharpie and scribble a W. I mean, Vanderbilt beat Kentucky and Florida last year. They broke a 26-game SEC losing streak. So we'll talk a little bit and let you hear from our buddy Chris Lee, VandySports.com. You'll hear from Clark Lee as well, the Vandy head football coach. And I did have the opportunity to sit down with Zach Arnett, Mississippi State's head coach, before they began their rotation. So you'll hear from Zach Arnett on this show here in about 30 minutes. And Will Rogers, Mississippi State quarterback, who another really interesting storyline to follow as we head into this season. Will Rogers, remember, has been at Mississippi State since 2020. He was a freshman in the COVID year. And that was the year, of course, where K.J. Costello started the season, and we all know what happened. He beat LSU, and then after that just completely face-planted. Well, Will Rogers took over in his freshman season and has now started 32 consecutive games. He is the SEC's single-season completion leader. He is the SEC's leader in career completions already, with another season to play, by the way. The superlatives are pretty incredible. He's got all the Mississippi State records, and he is on pace to become the third SEC quarterback ever with 100 career touchdown passes. You were talking about the likes of Tim Tebow and Peyton Manning. Like, that's the company Will Rogers is going to keep. Like, we're going to see an historic season from Will Rogers. There at Mississippi State this year, provided he stays healthy and continues to progress. But there's also just the very obvious point about Mississippi State, which is, you're dealing with a tragedy where Mike Leach was here a year ago and got ill and suddenly died. And now there's a new head coach in Zach Arnett who has a different philosophy. I would say philosophical, offensively, is going to be different. But our conversation with Zach Arnett was interesting because, as you'll hear, he's keeping much of what Mike Leach had built in place as such. So it was fascinating to hear from as well. Let me start, if we could today, Actually, Muse, I forgot to do this yesterday. I totally screwed that up. Hey, let's start the show like we do every single day. Hit it, Muse, if you would.
It's time to pop the top. It's time to pop another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy. Drink easy.
All right, so let's start with Kirby Smart. I think the biggest question around Georgia is obviously going to be pursuing a three-peat. If you've walked these halls at all this week, the thing that is said over and over again is that Georgia is trying to do something that hasn't been done since like Minnesota in the 1930s, basically in the poll era, a team winning 3 consecutive national championships. There have been teams that have won back-to-back titles and have failed to win that third title consecutively. So Georgia has history against it this year, but it also has some real questions. You're losing Stetson Bennett. You're losing 5 starters off of your defense again. You're losing you're losing Darnell Washington, one of your really prominent tight ends, but you obviously return a lot of talent because of the way that Georgia and Kirby have continued to recruit. And one of the things that you would obviously expect he would be asked about, Kirby was asked first here, about how does his team avoid complacency after winning back-to-back championships. Here's what he said.
You know, the threat for us is complacency. The first thing you have to do is acknowledge that it's a threat. It's the first step towards stomping it out. We look for 2 things when we look for people to join our organization. I'm not talking about players. I'm talking about anybody in our organization. We want to find people who love football and embrace a selfless role. And those 2 qualities are not dependent on outcomes. They're not dependent on win or loss. Did I get a sack? Did I touch the ball? We want guys that think independent of outcomes. So when you see complacency take over, it's when a team's enthusiasm and ego start worrying about outcomes. That's not what we do at Georgia. The culture we want to have. We want selfless people who love football, and that's what we build around.
So one of the things that Nick Saban has done exceptionally well is just that. It's the reason they've been able to have this 17-year run where they've been atop of college football, really for 15 years, I guess, atop college football. Can Georgia do it? I think it's less about complacency and more going to be about the people. When you lose Stetson Bennett, most likely Carson Beck obviously is going to be the quarterback. We've talked plenty about the schedule being in Georgia's favor, but I will remind you, and look, we all have seen the schedule. Everyone's talked about it. They open with UT Martin, then they play Ball State, South Carolina, UAB, all at home. They go on the road to Auburn, but that's a September game. That's one that we've normally, historically seen in November. But September game, or late October, September game at Auburn. They're home against Kentucky, at Vanderbilt. Home against Florida, Missouri, Ole Miss, at Tennessee, at Georgia Tech. Unless if they stub their toe against Auburn, the only real legitimate threat would seem to be at Tennessee, November the 18th. And we'll see if they can navigate that. If they can't, they'll be in Atlanta in the SEC championship game and steamrolling toward potential playoff and a potential number 3. So we got tons to do and tons to talk about. Mr. College Football, Tony Barnhart, is standing by. He's going to join us. So let me do this. Let's knock out our first break of the show. We'll come back and we'll chat with Tony Barnhart. Our interview with Zach Arnett coming up at the bottom of this hour as well. Aaron Murray, top of hour 2. Great conversation with Gary Danielson. Trust me when I tell you. I know some of you are going to roll your eyes. Trust me when I tell you, you are going to want to hear this conversation with Gary Danielson. He was magnificent. He was candid. He was sharp. He was effusive with praise about LSU. This will be the last year that CBS has the SEC contract. So Gary Danielson next hour as well. Let me knock out a quick break, and we will continue here on a Tuesday edition of AFR from Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, and Bluebonnet. Dine in, carry out, or delivery with 28 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, and sports on TV. Of course, we're in Nashville, but if you're back in Baton Rouge, every Tuesday, 2 things. 1, kids eat free. Looking for an opportunity to get out, do something with the family, fun and affordably, kids eat free every Tuesday at Pluckers. Also Tuesday, sports trivia with our guy Hunt Palmer, a.k.a. Hoon Palmario. That is at the Nicholson location. 8:30 sports trivia. So get them by Pluckers, eat some wings, drink some beer. 8:30, they'll fire up sports trivia, 5 rounds, live action trivia at Pluckers on Nicholson. Win Pluckers gift cards, eat wings, drink beer, and have a great time. Baseball's second half is here. You want to watch all the action, you can do it at either Pluckers location. Nicholson, just south of campus. Bluebonnet right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. Dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. That's at Pluckers, where, if you like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCoRoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see.
Live from the 2023 SEC Football Media Days presented by HUDCO Roofing.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
Glad to have you aboard with us here from Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days. It is day 2, and usually, really without exception, we always have a chance to catch up with Mr. College Football, Tony Barnhart, who's good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here on Radio Row. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm doing well. Almost 2 days down, 2 to go. And people say, you know, how are you holding up? I said, I'm doing fine. I get to see all my friends on Radio Row, and this is there's no other Radio Row like this one. There's no question.
We get to binge on college football for 4 days in the middle of July. Mm-hmm. It's not a bad gig. Anybody who ever wonders about coming here, it's never a bad thing. You're working with the Dodd Trophy, right, and you have a book coming out that I definitely want to talk about. I know being embedded in Atlanta for so long, you're so close to that Georgia program. We opened the show today talking a little bit about Kirby, and I know a big part of his remarks today were about avoiding complacency. Right. But really, look, you're as good as anyone to ask about this, about perspective, because we haven't seen a three-peat. Everybody knows in the poll era, Minnesota in the 30s, right, or whatever it was. Is this something that feels realistic, or very, obviously realistic, very doable for Georgia this year?
It is, and here's the question. I said, always think about this. The odds are against you winning 3 in a row. The odds are against you winning 2 in a row.
Right.
Because just stuff happens, all right? Georgia played in the national championship game against TCU because a kid from Ohio State hooked a field goal near the last play of the game. That was an issue. Georgia was down double digits at Missouri early. So stuff happens, and some days you overcome the stuff and some days you don't. Georgia did. They found a way to do it. But the question ultimately is, are they talented enough to win a 3rd national championship? And the answer to that question is absolutely yes. There's no doubt. They've recruited at a very high level for 5 years, and they've stacked one recruiting class on top of another, so that 2 years ago when they lose 5 first-round draft choices from the defense and 15 overall, they've got players to do it. So Georgia is in that position. And, oh, by the way, have you looked at their schedule?
Yeah.
Okay. And that trip to Tennessee on the November 18th looms large, but other than that, it is a very manageable schedule.
What about September the 30th at Auburn?
That's always a good game. Georgia-Auburn is my favorite college football game, always is. And that is an issue. I just don't think that Auburn well, a couple of things. Hugh Freeze's pattern is usually once he gets the quarterback position figured out, then the rest of it, the team falls into place. He hadn't figured it out yet, okay? Anytime you add a quarterback to your quarterback room after spring practice, that's a red flag. And so I'm anxious to see. I think it'll be a good game because it's such a big game, but I think Georgia's is too talented and too deep.
Are you surprised Hugh's back in the league?
Not really. As things began to evolve, you say, boy, how's this going to do? And look, he went to Liberty, did just an incredible job there, and there's no doubt about his bona fides to be a coach. The question is, was the timing right? Is at enough water going under the bridge? And the people that I talked to said, yeah. And they said, is he going to come back? I said, if it's Auburn that's open, this is before Auburn was open, yes, he would absolutely get that opportunity because, look, Hugh Freeze can coach quarterbacks and he can call plays, great plays, and he does it exceedingly well.
Tony Barnhart's with us. You mentioned that if you're adding a quarterback after spring, that's a problem. Alabama added a quarterback after spring.
They sure did.
How big of a problem is that at Alabama?
Well, we don't know yet. We don't know yet if Jalen Milroe, who has shown some flashes, if he can be your every down quarterback. It may be so. But here's the thing. Alabama hasn't gotten good quarterback play over the last 6 years. They've had elite play. And I don't think Jalen Milroe is going to be an elite quarterback, but he still can be really, really good. And so we just don't know. There are just too many questions. But, yeah, they added a quarterback from Notre Dame. They'd hired his offensive coordinator, right, Tommy Rees. And how is that going to work? And I've just got a feeling about Alabama. Everybody is writing them off. Oh, Nick Saban's coming to the end of his career. Please. Please. You're talking about the greatest college football coach of all time. And I think Alabama's going to win the West. I really do.
Okay.
I do. Now, logically, you should pick LSU.
Right.
Because they've got a proven quarterback, and Alabama doesn't. They've got overall depth of talent. But the game's going to be in Tuscaloosa. And November 4th, and it will be huge.
I agree with you in the sense that I'm not throwing dirt on Alabama. It would be stupid to try to bury Nick Saban. He's, as you said, the greatest coach ever. But I do believe that LSU this week, the media will pick LSU to win the West this year, I think.
Well,
and we've been wrong a lot.
Well, we have been wrong a lot. And so I'm anxious to see what the vote is and how close the vote is.
I do think it'll be close.
Yeah,
for sure. Tony Barnhart is with us. Let me ask you about LSU. You and I sat in Atlanta, and you gave me you may not remember this, but you gave some of the best insight into Brian Kelly. Because so much of the conversation last year, Tony, as we walk Radio Row, and it was about the dancing with the recruits and how he said family and all that sort of stuff. And the look you just gave me is basically what you did last year, and you brushed it aside and said he can flat out coach. And I'm certain you weren't surprised by the results LSU had a year ago.
No, I wasn't.
So What then becomes realistic in year two?
Year two, I mean, the fact they won 10 games. They scored 30 on the eventual national champions. I think if you've got a proven quarterback in this league, you can't say that about too many teams in this conference, a proven quarterback, and they do have one in Jaden Danielson. So I think everything is absolutely possible. Got to open up with Florida State in Orlando.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be an interesting game because a lot of people think Florida State can beat Clemson for the ACC championship. And so I think anything is possible for them because they won some tight games last year, and I like their overall depth of talent. And if you haven't seen Harold Perkins, the edge rusher, this kid is incredible. You got to keep an eye on him because he is something special.
Yeah, our audience in Baton Rouge and throughout Louisiana are needless to say excited about Harold Perkins, and you're starting to get people whisper about the effect and the impact that Tyrann Mathieu had on games.
Right.
And it's an impossible standard to meet, but it does speak to how incredible that Perkins was as a freshman.
Well, he is your classic disruptor because every time you've got to run away from him. Don't run towards him. You have to run away from him, and that impacts what you do. But it's going to be an interesting year at LSU. And I told my friends, I said, you're going to have to get used to the fact that Brian Kelly is a really good football coach. If you haven't figured it out yet, you probably need to do that.
It's amazing what winning 10 games and beating Alabama and winning the West will do as far as changing the conversation around a program. And that happened in 1 year's time.
Yep, it did.
I also want to ask you about Tennessee because when we were talking about Georgia, you highlighted that game on November the 18th. Of course, there could always be tripwire. I mean, you mentioned Georgia was down 2 scores to Mizzou. Tennessee, Joe Milton, Hendon Hooker was magnificent last year. I mean, I think he still should have been invited to Heisman. If I I'd have voted for him, even after the injury. Are we convinced that offense is, I don't want to say recession-proof, but that they'll keep rolling with Joe Milton?
I'm not convinced yet. Here's the issue. If you ask Josh Heupel to draw up the prototype of what he wants for a quarterback, it was Hendon Hooker, okay? Because in that offense, you can't seen that many 100-yard passes in college football. It doesn't matter how far you can throw it. The question is, can you throw it where you need to throw it when you need to do it? And that's the thing that's can Joe Milton make all of the throws that Josh Heupel needs for him to make to run this offense? And that's the big unknown right now.
Yeah. If there is a potential disruptor in the SEC East, we all look at Georgia's schedule. We understand what it is. Is Tennessee that team?
Yeah, I think Tennessee's the second best team in there. I tell you who may be the third best team, and everybody talks about South Carolina, and Spencer Rattler had a great finish at the end of last season. Kentucky is going to be a team that you need to watch because they've been good on defense for 6 or 7 years, so they're going to be fine on defense. But they get their coordinator. Remember, 2 years ago, Liam Cohen coached Will Levis, and he had a great years ago. Liam Cohen goes back to the NFL. Now he's back at Kentucky. They go to NC State and get a quality quarterback to add to that mix. And so I think they're going to be – but now, are they better than Georgia? No. Are they better than Tennessee? Probably not. Mm-hmm. But Kentucky's a team you need to keep an eye on because I'm telling you, Florida ain't there. I'll promise you that.
Florida's – we could go a whole nother – segment just on Florida and what's going on there. But
right.
We got a lot to cover before we do. Tony Barnhart is with us. He's on Twitter at Mr. CFB. Make sure you give him a follow. And you're with us always on behalf of the Dodd Trophy as well. Did y'all bring the trophy this year?
We did not bring the trophy this year.
It's a beautiful. I know it was there last year when we were in Atlanta. And for our audience who's watching, you could see there. I don't know if y'all are seeing it there on the camera, but that's Coach Dodd, kneeling with the football. It's a gorgeous trophy how it's all put together.
Yeah, it is, and Coach Dodd was just somebody very special. I'm honored to be serving on the board of directors for the Dodd Trophy presented by PNC. It's a different Coach of the Year award. Yeah, you got to win games. That's fine, but I'll give you an example. The Dodd Trophy has an academic component to it. You have to have a team average of 980 on the average APR. What I'm trying to say, and that makes it very very special. Our winner last year was Willie Fritz from Tulane.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
You remember how his season they beat
USC?
Beat USC, and we went to their campus. We do the award presentation on campus so the coach can be honored with his family there and his coaches there and their families and all that. And it was a very, very special night. And when we arrived, the board, all the Tulane players had their jerseys on and were our escorts around around the thing. It was an incredible thing. And it's a special award, and I'm really privileged to have my name associated with it.
Of course, Brian Kelly won this award back in 2018 when he was the coach of Notre Dame. So it's a long, distinguished list of winners of the Dodd Trophy, and that's announced after all of the bowl games, correct?
No, actually, it's announced. The award is announced during the Peach Bowl, correct?
The winners announced during the Peach Bowl.
Yes.
So we'll see the Dodd Trophy. Maybe Brian Kelly have an opportunity to win it for a second time, presented by PNC. And you've got another book.
I am. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it.
The 19 of Green. It's a pretty fascinating cover here on the book. What's the genesis?
Well, the genesis of the story is in the fall of 1970, I was a senior in high school, and I played on the first ever integrated football team in my high school. Greene County High School in Greensboro, Georgia is exactly halfway between Atlanta and Augusta off of I-20. And in the fall of 1970, the courts told the schools in the state of Georgia, you will fully integrate your schools. You've been putting it off for 16, 17 years. You will do it. So we had a black high school in my county, and we had a white high school in my county, and the schools merged completely. So we merged the football team, and we had our first spring practice, and I was convinced, this is going to be great. We're going to have 50 or 60 guys on the team, and we're going to be really good. When spring practice was over, we had 19 guys, 12 white and 7 black, and that's what we went into the season with, and we won 7 out of our last 8 games and won a division championship, almost won a region championship. But that's not the story of the 19 of Green. The 19 of Green is the fact that 52 years after we played our last game together, a bunch of us are really close friends. Charles Turner, number 11, our quarterback, and I have been friends for 52 years. He has a charity golf tournament, and so do I. And we play each in each other's tournament, and he's one of my closest friends. And it was just the book ends with Charles. They created a ring of honor for my high school for athletes and other people who had made great contributions to Greene County High School. Charles was one of the first to be inducted, and there's a photo at the end of the book. He is there with his 3 adult children and his 6 grandchildren and his wife, and they're all together. And we got a great photo of them. But that's how the book ends, with him going into the Greene County High School Ring of Honor.
The 19 of Green, and I see here the foreword is by Charles Turner. Where is Mr. Barnhart in this picture?
Right down here, number 50.
Number 50.
Number 50. I played tight end, guard, and defensive back.
When you got 19 players, I guess you have to.
You had to play. And as I told people, I said, here's the thing about my football career is as a player, I was very small, but I compensated by being exceedingly slow. So delayed reaction.
I was going, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Where can people order the book? Amazon?
Amazon. It's on Amazon. You can do just a search on the 19 of Green. It's published by the University of Georgia Press. It was great to work with them, and if you go on there, if the book appeals to you, you can get a 30% discount for an early purchase.
The 19 of Green, so the numeral 19, the 19 of Green. That's Greene by Tony Barnhart. It's a pleasure as always. Thank you so much for the time.
Absolutely. Good to be with you.
That is Tony Barnhart. This is After Further Review. We will knock out a quick break. Our conversation with Mississippi State head coach Zach Arnett is next here from Radio Row, presented by Hudco Roofing.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by our friends over at the Renaissance Hotel and the Watermark Hotel, 2 amazing hotel properties in Baton Rouge. The Watermark Hotel in downtown Baton Rouge, the Renaissance, as they say, in Southtown Baton Rouge, right there on Bluebonnet near I-10. Great place if you're looking for a night out on the town. You have family coming in. You need a place for family or friends or guests to stay. Always, of course, luxury hotel rooms, but more than that, great dining. Tell you all the time about Tallulah at the Renaissance. the Gregory, the restaurant inside of the Watermark downtown Baton Rouge. Weekend brunch at both spots as well. If you're worried about parking downtown, no worries. When you go to the Gregory at the Watermark downtown, complimentary valet parking when you're eating there at the Gregory at the Watermark in downtown Baton Rouge. And when it comes to hosting your event, there's no place better. No size too big or small, from a couple of dozen people up to 500 people. They'd love to help you out there at the Watermark and the Renaissance Hotels in Baton Rouge.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Rev Business started small in 1935. We built our reputation by providing hometown service with Louisiana hustle. For nearly 90 years, we've expanded across our great state, through the swamps and across the Mississippi, bringing fiber optics from the capital to the North Shore and down the bayou to the coast, all to connect your business with the world. Rev is about big business technology with small business personal service, powerful solutions, unmatched local service. Rev Business.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile.
Live from the 2023 SEC Football Media Days presented by Hudco Roofing. After further review with Matt Moscona.
Glad to have you aboard with us here as we are in Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. Day 2 of SEC Football Media Days. If you're just jumping aboard with us, again, thanks to Mr. College Football, Tony Barnhart, for a couple of minutes. Our conversation with Gary Danielson is coming up in about an hour, actually about 45 minutes. And I know I've seen some of the Twitter reaction, now pass Gary. And I hear it all the time from some of the vocal minority. I'm telling you, you will want to hear this interview with Gary Danielson. He was magnificent. Very sharp, a fantastic storyteller, and effusive with praise about the LSU program. That he's called a lot of games. Remember, this is the last year of the CBS contract. So starting next season, CBS, that 2:30 window will be a Big Ten game. And the SEC contract will be all with ESPN. So this is the last year. It'll be Brad and Gary calling that 2:30 game. And some of you rejoice, and I know I've got a lot of complaints about, the length of a CBS broadcast, but Gary Danielson, I think, is a fantastic analyst, and you really, really, really will enjoy this conversation. Again, that's 45 minutes from right now. Don't miss it. Mississippi State is wrapping up their day, and before they started on their rotation, we had a chance to visit with their head football coach, Zach Arnett, who, of course, inheriting a tragic situation where Mike Leach, who was here a year ago, is no longer with us, and he was promoted, his first head coaching opportunity. And we had a chance to visit with Zach Arnett earlier today on Radio Row. We continue from Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days. Head coach of the Bulldogs, good enough to join us now, Zach Arnett. Sir, how are you?
Yeah, thank you very much. Excited to be here.
Look, this is a great event. It's a great day. I'm curious, though, you're a baseball guy, too?
No, I played baseball, but there's quite a few coaches here. I probably could make that claim.
Didn't you have baseball offers coming out of high school?
I signed, baseball's partial scholarships, right?
Yeah.
You don't get full rides, so I had signed a partial to our local University of Mexico there in my hometown, Albuquerque.
Yeah. And no desire to pursue it once football came?
Oh, football's always been my first love, baseball, as much as I love playing it, and, you like being in season and competing. Usually when football season rolled around, I was ready to be done with baseball and get back to football. And so
I hear you, man. It's interesting, too, first-time head coach, a guy who had spent you mentioned born in New Mexico, you were at San Diego State before you came to Mississippi State with Coach Leach. Did you find I think when we're here, right, in the SEC for so long, we think about this as like a cultural place, and people use the word fit all the time. When you came from the West Coast to Mississippi State, how was that transition for you? Like, did it feel right away?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, obviously working for a guy like Coach Leach, get an opportunity to be a defense coordinator in SEC West. You'll pack your bags and walk there for that chance. And you don't have to say it, but most people say, they don't look at me and think Southern California beach guy, And so I enjoyed my time, loved living in San Diego. I've had a pretty blessed coaching career, right? Really only being 2 stops. You talk to a lot of coaches, and sometimes in 10 years, it's almost 10 different moves, right?
Yeah.
I've been in San Diego, California, I've been in Starkville, Mississippi, and coaching the SEC West. So, I've been blessed.
I think sometimes fit is actually often overrated. We're in Baton Rouge, and people ask the same question about Brian Kelly last year. And that went okay. Year one.
Yeah, winning seems to solve all those questions, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. So how do you win? How do you make this transition from defensive coordinator to being a head coach now for the first time?
I think you ask any coach, right? Obviously, the most important part is players. Right? We got some really talented players in our program, a lot of impact players coming back. And we return a starting quarterback with the most SEC starts of any quarterback in the league. He's the SEC career completions record holder. He's got 29 school individual passing records. We return quite a bit up front on the defense side of the ball in our D-line and linebacker group, 4 or 5 starting offensive linemen, pretty much all our leading receivers. So we got quite a bit of return in production coming back. Yeah. All right, now, anything you've done in the past doesn't guarantee future success. And so that's what this time of year is for, is training camp. We got to get to work. We got to identify what we're good at, what's going to give us the best chance to win, and then we got to go out there and actually execute.
It's pretty amazing because I was talking to Will earlier, and when he finishes this season, there's a chance he could hold every significant passing record in the history of the SEC. Manning, Tebow, name them. He could have them all. What has made him so special?
He's a football guy. He's a worker, right? He's up there about as much as the coaches. He pours into the film. He does everything he can to have himself physically prepared and mentally prepared. He's a football guy, and he's a winner. Right? And we're happy he's our leader.
How much does – a couple more minutes here with Zach Arnett. How much does also the COVID year, having guys that are 5th and 6th year guys, the uniqueness of that, how much does that help your program?
Oh, yeah. Anytime you have that much experience and maturity on your roster – that goes a long way towards being prepared for Saturdays. This is a physically demanding and also mentally demanding league. Week in and week out, there are no off weeks. It's the most competitive conference in all country. So having older guys who have been through those battles, they know what it takes on a week-to-week basis, the work, the strain that goes into preparing and winning, because it's a long season. It's great to have experience.
Yeah. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about Coach Leach, and I know everyone you talk to is going to ask you about him. But what did he mean for you, personally, professionally?
Oh yeah, he's had a tremendous impact on and influence on my views and philosophies as a coach. I mean, first and foremost, he gave me an opportunity to come be his defensive coordinator, right? And for that, I'm forever indebted to him. Mississippi State University, Community of Starkville. Fortunately, his views, his philosophies on how you go about developing a football team, what that identity is, are very much the same as mine, right? And so that was a seamless transition. How he viewed the game of football is supposed to be played, the effort with which you play it, the toughness, the physicality, right? I've had have the exact same beliefs. So he's had a tremendous impact on my career. There's many things, whether it be buzzwords, slogans, whatever, that were, the DNA of his program. We still say them in our building to this day, right? Because they're tried and true principles to winning football. You got to play the next play. You got to block out the noise. All that stuff helps if you're the most excited team to play, right? Yeah. So all that stuff is still carrying over in our program.
Certainly great legacy. And now the baton's passed to you to run that program. Last thing, when you set goals and talk to your team, what does that look like? Do you all verbally state you want to win the West, win the SEC, win a national championship? Are those things you openly talk about with your guys?
Oh, well, simply put, our fan base has much to be proud of, right? We're currently kind of experiencing one of the most successful periods in program history over this last decade. Last season, win the bowl game, 9th win. That's the 4th 9th win season in the last 9 years. There's only 3 schools in this conference who have more 9-win seasons over that same time period, the last 9 years. 13 consecutive bowl games, 5 first-round picks in the last 5 years. Simply put, there's a lot to be proud of. There's a lot of really good stuff going on, and our job is to continue that legacy, right? A lot of great players have laid the foundation and paved the way for that success, and our job is to continue it. So we expect to be in bowl games. Right, there's one particular game at the end of the year that's incredibly important to us. It's important to a lot of people in the state. It's even more important to the men inside of our football building. It's the most important game of the year. All right, and if we handle our business throughout the course of the season, then we'll be playing in a heck of a location by the end of the year.
I wish you luck, except for when the guys in purple and gold come to Starkville. That day, I don't wish you any luck at all. I'll make sure Rivers actually gets to Starkville that day. Take care of that. He is Zach Arnett. We appreciate the time, Coach. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hail State.
We were joking because Rivers, when which one is yours, Rivs? 2?
Hello.
When Rivers actually goes to Rivers is producing on site.
So you kind of got it wrong a little bit.
Okay.
I'm not. Well, I was gonna say I'm not a bad luck at Mississippi State football games, but maybe I am. I don't know. Maybe that's what's wrong with our program.
Is it just baseball?
It's just me. It's just baseball. It's just when I'm in Duty Noble. But on the flip side of that, football-wise, I've never seen LSU lose a game from Tiger Stadium. So that's what the deal is. So you'll definitely want me in Tiger Stadium.
The game's in Starkville this year.
Huh? I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Because
I have seen us beat LSU from, Davis Wade. So I'll go back.
Which the DAC game? No, that was in Baton Rouge.
2 times ago. Do the math.
2 times.
Do the math.
21. Okay. That was that. They all run together.
21. No, it wasn't 21. The time before that.
No, that would have been
Fitzgerald.
That would have been 2019. The Fitzgerald game would have been 20.
The game that T-Bob wore the T-shirt to.
Was that 17?
Was it?
The first year of Ogeron. Yes, that was the blowout. Yes, 2017, the first year of Ogeron.
That's the year that T-Bob wore the Mississippi State shirt to troll us and pat us on the head. Wah, wah.
All right. So the joke from Coach Arnett there, and he said off air, he said, I hope you get a flat tire. He told Rivers, I hope you get a flat tire on the way to the game.
What a way to meet your favorite team's head coach.
All right. After further review, we're brought to you by Michelle Weighing and Measurement, Michelle.com, Michelle.com with 29 offices. Actually, now more than 30 offices across 11 different states. If you weigh or measure something, our friends at Michelle sell, service, rent the products you use to weigh and measure. It's Michelle Weighing and Measurement. ISO 17025 accreditation is available. Our nation's largest distributor of scales. When I think about like this water bottle I have right here, this cap, you twist the cap to open it, right? Well, there's a certain amount of force required to twist that cap. Well, there's a machine that calibrates how much force you would need to open it. Well, Michelli calibrates those machines. Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com. That's Michelli.com, and they are hiring. So check out our friends at Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com. All right, it is after further review. Aaron Murray is going to be with us right after the top of the hour here in about 15 minutes. I'm excited to talk to Aaron Murray because of something you've heard if you've been listening to us the last couple days or any of our coverage. I believe that this is the weakest year for quarterbacks in the SEC since 2014. It was the year after that great year with Manziel, McCarron, Mettenberger, Aaron Murray, Connor Shaw, James Franklin, Dak was there at Mississippi State. I think it's a fascinating year as a result, but it's also a year where some of Aaron Murray's career passing records could fall at the hand of Will Rogers. So we'll have Aaron Murray with us here in about 15 minutes from right now. We're looking forward to that conversation. And the Gary Danielson chat next hour as well. Chris Marler, our buddy from Saturday Down South in Hour 3, and we'll talk to Will Rogers in Hour 3 as well. We're glad you're with us here from Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days presented by Hudco Roofing.
AFR.
And it is a great opportunity to remind you about Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com. Tell you every day, do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. You know, a couple weeks back we had those awful hailstorms in West Baton Rouge, and as a result, we've seen so many families, so many homeowners already take the proactive step of filing a claim with their insurance. Maybe you've had the adjuster out. You've got that scope of work. Might have that check already in hand from your insurance company. If you're already at that point, maybe it's not you, maybe it's a neighbor, a relative, a friend, let us help. When choosing a roofing company, you want to make sure you choose a local company that's been around. Because, sure, there's always pop-up roofing companies that say they can get it done quickly. Well, Hudco can. We're staffed. We have all the necessary materials ready to roll, staff ready to roll, and we're going to be here in 6 months and 6 years. It's Hudco Roofing. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Live from the 2023 SEC Football Media Days presented by Hudco Roofing. After further review with Matt Moscona.
Wrapping up hour number 1 here on day 2 from Radio Row SEC Football Media Days. Hugh Freeze made his return to the SEC, or is making his return to the SEC, made his return to SEC Media Days earlier today. And there's 2 very interesting conversations surrounding Hugh Freeze. One, it's obviously the conversation surrounding him, the fact that he was this wildly successful coach, bringing Ole Miss to access games and leading them to tremendous success during his time in Oxford. And then we all know how it unraveled on him there, went to Liberty, and is now back in the conference. So that, first and foremost, is a big part of the conversation. The other part, of course, is about this Auburn team, which it was a very similar position as LSU a year ago with how they had to hammer the portal just for numbers. And we saw how it worked for Brian Kelly. And there are some people here saying Auburn this year could be the LSU of a year ago, meaning the team who went through a coaching change, had tremendous resources, had to go so deep into the portal, but a good coach was able to use all of those different ingredients and mix it together to make something that looked far better than any of us thought that it could. First, though, here's number 2, Muse, if we can. Here's Hugh Freeze on if he thought a return to the SEC was ever going to be possible.
Truthfully, when the ending at Ole Miss occurred, it was hard to truthfully process, would you ever get that opportunity again? So I would have to say at that point, no. I mean, obviously, but as time passes and things tend to settle back in, and I would be less than truthful with you if after we started having success at Liberty, particularly with it just going FBS and us being able to beat the likes of Arkansas and BYU and Virginia Tech and Syracuse and playing close with every Power 5 that we played, did the thought start creeping in your mind that certain opportunities might present themselves again? Yes, at that point, but not prior to that point did they enter my mind.
You know, considering the financial commitment that Liberty made to Hugh Freeze, and this is going to sound funny to some of you, but the financial commitment they made to him, the money he was being paid, and the facilities at Liberty. I remember Ross Dellinger, our good friend Ross Dellinger, did a great feature on Hugh Freeze. When he went up to Virginia and saw the facilities that they'd built and that they had there, and I remember having Ross's feature was fantastic. I remember talking to him about it after. He's like, it blew him away. It's on par with any SEC building. So you talk about those type of resources available, and you understand why it was a very appealing thing for Hugh Freeze to potentially stay at Liberty. But when the SEC came calling, obviously at a place like Auburn, where you can win a national championship, the allure was too great. And listen, the other part of this, clearly, in his time at Liberty, he went 8-5, 10-1, 8-5, 8-4. So he won consistently there at Liberty. Now the other part of it is, what can he actually do with this Auburn team? Can we play number 6, Muse? Here was Hugh Freeze on the talent gap between Auburn and the rest of the SEC.
I love our team. They're my team. They're Auburn's team, and we're going to coach the heck out of them. Does our roster from top to bottom look like Alabama's, Georgia's, LSU's, Florida A&M, Ole Miss? I don't know yet. I know a couple they don't because I've watched the tape. But do I think we've improved Auburn with the additions that we've had since I've been there? Yes. Does that mean we closed the gap at all? I have no clue. I do know we improved Auburn. And I hope that means that we somehow close the gap enough to, if we have a good game plan, to be in some of those games in the fourth quarter and have maybe a shot to pull an upset.
I want to remind you, when Hugh Freeze took over Ole Miss in 2012, that was after the Houston Nutt crash and burn in 2011, the year where LSU was taking a knee with 6 minutes to go. That's how bad Ole Miss was in 2011. Hugh Freeze in his first year won 7 games. They went 7-6. And at Ole Miss, he went 7, 8, 9, 10 games in his first 4 seasons. And then in 14 and 15, they went to the Peach and the Sugar Bowl. And then in 2016, his final season there, they were 5-7. But I look at this Auburn team, and so my point being, Auburn's projected win total this year is 6-5. UMass, they go to Cal. They play Samford in the non-conference, and then they have a late season game against New Mexico State. You win at Cal, you win your 4 non-conference games. Can they go 3-5 in the league? Yeah, and I think they will. I'm taking the over with Auburn at 6.5 because Hugh Freeze is that good of a coach. I don't think their roster is ready to compete at the highest level of the league, but Hugh Freeze is a good enough coach that he's going to win the games they're supposed to win and trip up somebody, just like they were able to do when he was at Ole Miss and managed to beat Alabama with Bo Wallace back in 2014 and in 2015. So Auburn becomes a fascinating topic because of the coach who's there and what he's done in this league prior. Okay, it's after further review. We're live from Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days. Hour 2, Aaron Murray will join us on site. Stick around.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. That's theantiagingclinics.com. Remember, they always have great monthly specials. This month, over at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, take advantage of great pricing on Vaser Lipo. That is a procedure done by award-winning cosmetic surgeon Dr. Todd Howell, the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. Again, that's theantiagingclinics.com. Maybe it's something as simple as hormone replacement therapy. A blood test can let you know if you're a candidate for HRT. If you maybe struggle to fall asleep at night or stay asleep, maybe when you're awake you don't have as much energy, you don't get results in the gym, it could be an issue with hormones. HRT could be the solution. A simple blood test can let you know. Online, theantiagingclinics.com. That's theantiagingclinics.com.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. A caretaker who was indicted after taking a wealthy family for a ride maintained her innocence in her first court appearance before a judge today. Melba Bro is charged with cruelty to the infirm after prosecutors say she changed a wealthy man's will 20 days before his death, naming her the beneficiary of his bank accounts, business, and multi-million-dollar condo. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,500 off MSRP on all new 23 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go? Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. First lawsuit filed against former Northwestern football coach Pat Fitzgerald and members of the school's leadership seeking damages from the hazing scandal. The former player, who filed anonymously, alleges the program and its leaders were negligent in allowing hazing inside the team's locker room. His attorneys expect additional football players and other Northwestern athletes to join the lawsuit. Top NFL running backs like Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry took to social media to rally around the Giants' Saquon Barkley, Raiders' Josh Jacobs, and Cowboys' Tony Pollard. The trio failed to reach long-term agreements before yesterday's deadline. The NFL sending a clear message about running backs, notes ESPN's Kimberly Martin.
There is a cap on what we think your value is. On the field, we will lean on you left and right. Toss you the ball, hand you the ball, you can win games for us. But when it comes down to what we are willing to pay and how we want to divvy up our money, your position, we don't value it.
Kimberly Martin on First Take. The group of Rory McIlroy, Jon Rahm, and Justin Rose headline the British Open pairings this week. They tee off just before 10 a.m. Eastern on Thursday.
When you're trying to hire, all that searching, screening, and interviewing can become its own job. You need Indeed, the end-to-end hiring solution that makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire quality people. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR from Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days. Day 2. It was both sets of Bulldogs, Georgia and Mississippi State today, along with Auburn and Vandy. And a guy who left his time at Georgia holding essentially every significant passing record in the history of the league, Aaron Murray, who has the unfortunate distinction of working every single day with T-Bob Hebert on snaps, joins us here. How are you, dude?
Good. No, I very entertained by our boy T-Bob every single day. I would say one of the more entertaining guys in the industry. And I didn't know you could say so many bad things on a live show until I worked with T-Bob. And I'm like, my God.
You do realize that I do a post-game show with T-Bob.
Oh, I know.
At a whiskey bar.
Well, it's your fault why he shows up to my show after your show drunk and spitting nonsense in a wizard outfit every Saturday night. He literally shows up.
No.
Well, because I'm like, we'll be waiting, myself and our producer, Ryan Brumley, we'll be like, waiting to do our late night show for Snaps on Saturday nights. And we're like, T-Bob should be here soon. T-Bob.
Oh, no.
And we turn onto your channel, and he's just getting plastered. I'm like, oh, God, what am I going to get in about 30 minutes when T-Bob shows up? And he's, oh my God. He'll wake up the next day, he's like, what did I say on Snaps last night? I was like, you don't want to know.
No.
Just don't watch. It was good, though. It was entertaining.
I'm glad you're here. So thank you for the time. But there's two things, really, that I would love to pick your brain about. One, and both involve you. I look at the quarterbacks in the league this year, and I think this is top to bottom the weakest year we've seen for quarterbacks in the league, at least what it appears to be going in, since 2014, the year when you left.
Yep.
There was all the great – 13 was an amazing
Loaded.
year for –
Yep.
It was you, McCarron, Manziel, Murray, Mettenberger, sorry.
Yep.
You're Murray. Connor Shaw,
Yep.
won 11 games in South Carolina.
McCarron, did you name
A.J.
McCarron?
McCarron. I mean, it was
loaded.
Yep. And then in 2014, it wasn't.
Yep.
It was basically Dak, and then Bo Wallace had a nice year at Ole Miss. And so do you see that this year? I mean, the fact that there's only 5 quarterbacks coming to media days, does that play?
I wish there's more quarterbacks coming, obviously. I would say there's a couple teams where the next quarterback is more talented than the previous quarterback. So you have a potential for a massive step forward. You look at Tennessee and Hendon Hooker compared to Joe Milton. Joe Milton is vastly more talented than Hendon Hooker. And I love Hendon Hooker. What he did as a leader, I think he has incredible talent. I think he has an opportunity to play and have a long career in the NFL. But when it comes to just pure talent, Joe Milton's the more talented quarterback. And we're going to see if Joe Milton can kind of put it together this year. He teased us with some incredible play last year, backing up Hendon, and then obviously the way he played in the bowl game versus Clemson. We're like, man, he looks like he's putting it together. And I had a chance to cover some of their games last year and talk to actually Hendon and talk to the staff. Like, man, trust me, this guy is taking those strides in the right direction to be a superstar next year when he's ready to go. So I think you could see a potential star in Joe Milton. And I'll go to a guy that I'm obviously very close to and have been following for 3 years, and that's Carson Beck.
Okay.
Carson Beck has been the most talented quarterback in the room for the past 3 years. He's been more talented than JT Daniels. He's been more talented than Carson Beck. Than Stetson Bennett. Carson told me this a month ago. I had him on one of my shows. He's like, I wasn't ready, Aaron. He said, when I was getting ready to be the starting quarterback versus UAB when JT went down, I was not ready to go. And Stetson came in, threw 5 touchdowns, and the rest is history. He's like, I am more prepared now to go out there physically and mentally and essentially kick some butt. So I think Carson is a future superstar. He's got to prove it. But what he has attribute-wise is incredible. Great size, great arm, great feet, throws with touch, throws in anticipation. I mean, he's what a first-round quarterback looks like. So those two guys who haven't played a ton, I think could be future superstars. I think Jackson Dart at Ole Miss could be a superstar. I think him in year 2 with Lane Kiffin has a chance to be a big-time quarterback. So those guys could be ringers in this league along with guys like Spencer Rattler. I think Connor Wegman could be a superstar. So I think the talent is there.
Okay.
I just think it's a lot of unproven talent that has played in backup roles and played limited time the past couple of years. That guys which, to me, in an era where everyone just transfers, I know Joe Milton transferred, but guys that have sat and learned the system, that have incredible talent, are now hungry to go out there and prove it.
Go back to Carson Beck for a minute. I'm glad you went there because outside looking in, and again, I don't follow Georgia every single day, but so much of the narrative was, the unlock was when you finally had the OC there that made sense. Well, like we all know now, he's in Baltimore.
Yep.
So how does it look or change with Bobo now calling the plays, or does it?
It's not going to change.
Okay.
And I think that's why Kirby brought Bobo in a year ago to be an analyst. I mean, he was preparing. We all knew there was always the thought of, when is Monken going to go to the NFL? Monken's an NFL guy. And if I'm an offensive coordinator, any coach, if I had an opportunity, that's the problem with college football now. These coaches, if they get a chance to move on to the NFL, they're going to. It's quality of life is it's night and day from NFL to college. So you get why Monken moved on to Baltimore, but Kirby knew that was a big-time possibility. He brings in Bobo. Bobo had a year to kind of sit, observe, and see what's going on. And then now he's going to run Monken's offense. The terminology is going to be the same. The concepts are mostly going to be the same. He'll have his twist on it. We'll see if he does as much, say, 12 personnel as Monken was able to do. But you also don't have big Darnell Washington in there as well. They have other talented tight ends. Oscar Delp's talented. Lawson Lucky is an incredibly talented young tight end who is very similar to Brock Bowers. So he may have to mess with the personnel a little bit more. I think you'll see a little bit more of an 11 personnel, so 3 receivers instead of 2. But they're also stacked at the receiving position. So you want to be more in that personnel group than a 12 personnel. So, but other than that, I think you're going to see mostly similar offense. I think you'll see a little bit more of a vertical passing attack because of how talented Carson is throwing the football, because of how talented the receivers are. But I don't know, man. Call me a homer all you want. I think this is going to be a top 2, top 3 offense in the SEC, and it wouldn't surprise me if they're the best offense in the SEC when it's all said and done.
Okay. I've looked at – I don't mean this to be disrespectful, but Stetson Bennett wasn't the most dynamic athlete, but he functioned that offense because there was so much talent. I don't mean that – I know that's going to sound disrespectful, but to a guy who won 2 national championships as a quarterback. But I think you understand what I'm saying. Like, Carson Beck is –
He doesn't blow you away. Physically, he doesn't.
Yeah.
But I'll counter you on this. Stetson Bennett has more arm, as good of arm strength as 70% of the guys in the NFL. I mean, there's that top tier NFL arm strength, the Josh Allens of the world, the Staffords, the Aaron Rodgers of the world. But he is right there with Kirk Cousins and that kind of grouping of arm strength, being able to throw the ball and make all the throws. So I think there's the misconception of, he's 5'11", he must not be able to push the ball down the field that well. Well, Bryce Young is smaller both in size and frame than Stetson is. We never question his arm strength. Stetson has Bryce Young arm strength. Stetson has, I would say, elite athleticism at the quarterback spot, more athletic than most of the quarterbacks in the NFL. Like, Stetson is a hell of a talent. Stetson is just labeled as a walk-on, and Stetson is 5'11". If Stetson's 6'2", he would have been a first-round draft pick. So I would say above average arm strength, well above average when it comes to athleticism. I think a hell of a competitor, a great leader. I think he has a chance to play in the NFL and have a great career. I think we just got stuck in the narrative of he's a walk-on, so he must not have all of this. Well, really, the only thing that Stetson doesn't have is size.
He also had the most talented roster in the country.
He did. No. I agree with you there. He did. But when it comes to arm strength, making the throws, running ability, escapability, pocket awareness, leadership, check. If he's 6'2", we're not having this conversation.
Where is Jaden Daniels on that list? Aaron Murray's with us, by the way. A couple more minutes. Where's Jaden Daniels?
Oh, Jaden, he could be one.
In the league?
If he looked as good as he looked when I covered you guys and covered LSU in the spring game, throwing the ball with that offensive line, with those receivers, I love the fact that they went out there and got the transfer at the running back position. You got Taylor at the tight end spot too. You got Nussmeier as a backup, which gives you confidence that, for the staff to let Jaden do what he needs to do. I think Jaden has a chance to, be in New York, be the top guy in the SEC with his dual threat ability. Like I said, if he looks, once again, they continue to push him, because that's what the staff told us. They put him in awkward situations all spring when I had the spring game. Awkward situations, forcing him to throw the ball down the field, and he just got more and more comfortable with that. If you see even more of a step forward over the next 2 weeks and then through camp, you're going to have an elite quarterback.
That's the hope, certainly in LSU circles. Last thing, time appreciated. I did want to ask you about Will Rogers as well. It's one of the guys we haven't gotten to who, look, let's be honest. He's got a lot of your records in his crosshairs.
No, he doesn't. Stay away.
Well,
graduate.
You've got to have, but the point is, like you have to be ready to play early in your career, and you have to be good enough to play for 4 years in the league to even be in that conversation. So when you look at Will Rogers, where does he fit
5
in?
years in his if he gets an extra year. He still has 2 more years if he wanted
if
it.
If he does stay and play in 24, then sorry, buddy. Like, you got actually, I don't think anybody.
But you put an asterisk by that. He gets 5 years.
In a fifth, we were having this conversation.
Like, is that fair that someone gets 5 years to break a record that's supposed to only be 4?
Wait, hold on. If we do get to a point where he plays a 5th season, then I think that we have that conversation. And I'll give you a parallel. We were having this conversation about Pete Maravich.
Yeah.
So Pete Maravich's scoring record has stood for 50 years, and there was a kid who played at Detroit Mercy or Detroit Mercer. I can't remember which one it is, but he got the extra COVID year. Pete only played 3, so this kid was playing 5 years, and he came within a game really of breaking a 60-year-old record. And there was a lot of people upset about it. So I think we have a different conversation next year
if he does come back.
But just a thought on Rodgers, though. Especially with I presume was going to be a different scheme.
Yeah, listen, I love what he did. I remember when he came in, was it 3 years ago, when I forget who the starter was from Stanford, was throwing all those interceptions. Had the big game versus LSU.
It was KJ Costello. We all remember.
Yeah, you guys remember him.
Yeah, we do.
But then he
600 yards.
He got cocky after that because he kept thinking like, oh, everyone's going to play me in man. Then all these teams started dropping 8, and he's throwing interceptions left and right. And all of a sudden you see a freshman quarterback come in there and play like a veteran. Get through his reads, find the check down, and just dink and dunk, and really have command of a really complex offense early on. Like, man, this kid, he's got it. He's a smart kid. And, a lot of people, just like with Stetson, they talk about, he doesn't have a great arm. He has a good arm. I wouldn't say elite. He has a good arm. I've seen him throw the deep crosses, the deep daggers, the goes, the corners, the post routes. He can make those throws. He hasn't had an opportunity to do that consistently because of all the drop 8 he's had to go face. So I think for him it's going to be a good year knowing that, man, I'm going to see normal 4-down fronts. I'm going to see single high safeties more consistently. I'm going to get opportunities to throw the ball down the field because I'm going to get some one-on-one chances. So I can't wait to see him do that, but it's going to take time. It's going to take games. And it's not just him. It's the receivers. It's the running backs. It's now all of a sudden tight ends. And, I was talking with T-Bob about this earlier. It's the offensive line. You remember, this offensive line for the past 3 years has had to block 3 down fronts 90% of the time. So they've got to do double teams. Now, all of a sudden, they're going to see 4 down fronts. They're going to see 5-man pressures, 6-man pressures. That offensive line has to get used to run blocking. So it's a brand new for everyone. So it's going to be fascinating. But from a maturity standpoint, from a comfort standpoint, I really appreciate and have loved watching him, run that offense. I'm excited to see what he can do in this more pro-style system.
One of the reasons I love coming here is I think everybody comes with certain ideas or preconceived notions about and then you come have conversations like this and maybe you recalibrate a bit. So I may have to look at my thoughts on the quarterback situation in the league and go, maybe it's deeper and better than I thought it was going to be.
I think it's a good year. I said there's just young guys that have it and have been in their systems long enough where I think you see some really good play, some really, really good play.
Y'all go subscribe on YouTube to Snaps, their own channel. It's at Snaps Volume. Did I get it right?
I think Snaps/Volume. Should probably know this a little bit better. T-Bob's the salesman on the show, so I let him kind of, sell the entire thing.
Well, go subscribe to Snaps. It's just Snaps.
Yep.
Okay, yep. So go subscribe. No, it's at Volume Snaps on YouTube. At Volume Snaps. So it's the dedicated page just to Snaps. So at Volume Snaps, it's where you find Aaron and T-Bob every single day. Go subscribe to their channel. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man.
Awesome stuff. That is Aaron Murray. This is After Further Review. We'll continue here from Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days, Day 2.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Darren James and Associates, brokered by eXp Realty. Every home listed by every company all in one place. You know where to find them. Agent225.com. Agent225.com. Yo, if you are thinking about selling your home, maybe you've been thinking about selling your home, but you're like, people aren't buying homes right now. The market's cold because interest rates are high. The market right now is actually on fire in Baton Rouge because a lot of people who are looking to buy are acknowledging what many of us are, which is rates are right now what they're going to be for a while. And sometimes if you need to move, you need to move. So you're starting to see the market pick up. But still, there's only right now about a 3-month inventory when standard is 6 months. So there is not enough inventory right now to meet demand. If you are thinking of selling your home, take advantage of this market right now. 335-7666 or agent225.com for Darren James.
Think real estate, think Darren James. There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come on, in Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Live from the 2023 SEC Football Media Days presented by Hudco Roofing. After further review with Matt Moscona.
We roll along from Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days. Well, sometimes you have a big old former Auburn offensive lineman who smokes cigars on your field hovering over your shoulder while you're trying to do a live read for DraftKings. DraftKings is the official sports betting partner of AFR. Appreciate the partnership so much with our friends over at DraftKings. Right now, if you're a new customer, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. Bet $5 on anything. Literally anything. Just $5 on anything with the promo code Baton Rouge. They'll give you $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's right now at the DraftKings Sportsbook. With all of this college football talk, are you kidding me? You wouldn't want to get in on some futures for college football. You wouldn't want to get in on win totals, maybe award winners, all that possibility. It's there for you at the DraftKings Sportsbook. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and be sure to use the promo code Baton Rouge. New customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Again, bet just $5. Bet just $5 on anything at the DraftKings Sportsbook, and they'll give you $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with the promo code Baton Rouge. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms. Licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537. This is the final year of the SEC contract with CBS, which means it's the final year that we'll have Brad and Gary on the call. Some of you sarcastically will cheer, but I'm going to tell you this. Gary Danielson, this conversation he and I had earlier today was magnificent, and he is a fantastic game analyst, despite the fact that some of you live in a fan echo chamber where you believe he hates your team and loves Alabama. I got news. For the last 15 years, Alabama's been really stinking good, and CBS picks the best game, and so they're going to call a lot of Alabama games. But but Gary Danielson gushes about LSU in this conversation. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Two parts, because we had about 20 minutes with Gary. So the first part of our conversation with CBS analyst Gary Danielson. SEC Football Media Days, joined by a guy who has, well, quite honestly, been the soundtrack to many of our football Saturdays, Gary Danielson from CBS. How are you, sir?
Great. It's kind of bittersweet. I mean, it's been a great run. You know, this will be year 18. What have I done? 250 SEC games, you know, so it was tough to lose the package. I mean, we're very excited, CBS is, about our future, but I mean, no one's going to beat what we've done the last 17 years. It's been, for me, I know CBS was there before, but we've been blessed, great games, you know, Vern and now Brad, and I've been able to sit there. It's been, we've seen everything. We've literally seen everything.
Of course, after this season, CBS will pick up the Big Ten rights.
Right.
And ESPN will have all of the SEC rights. You have called so many LSU games.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's interesting because your time at CBS has really paralleled LSU's ascension into the national. So you have called so many of those 2:30 CBS games. When you start to think back of some of the great games in Tiger Stadium, what are some of the ones, or just that LSU's played in that immediately come to your mind?
Jacob Hester.
Yeah.
Florida. One of the 5 best games I've ever done. Florida, it was a war. I think they had a defensive end. I can't remember his name right now because we interviewed him, and it was really toughest man wins. And he said after the game, after those, remember those 5 4th down plays?
Oh, we remember.
And Jake, and he said, after a while, I didn't care who won. I just wasn't going to let my guy beat me because it was a war. It was a physical war out there. It was as intense as anything you've ever seen in football. And that was the beginning of it. I do also remember, it's a funny story. It was Nick Saban's first year in 2007 when LSU goes up there to play. And Les is there in 7 too?
Yeah.
So, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so
that was the same season of the Florida Jacob Hester game.
Correct. Okay. Yes, because 2007 is when they made it all the way. They lost the 2 games, but they got in the championship. Yep. So they're playing Nick's team, but Nick is LSU, right? So Vern says something like, well, the pressure's on Les. He's got to have this game to have a good season. And I said, Vern, he's got to have a good game to have a good life. He had to win that game. And then the kick out of the fumble and the game. Oh, yeah. But those games, the other memory, I guess, happened in Tuscaloosa, too, when Mettenberger crawls off the field.
Yeah.
His heroic a game. They could have easily have won that game. Mettenberger, I think Odell runs a kickoff all the way down to the 20-yard line. But it was a great memory. Great players. Tyrann Mathieu is probably my favorite player of all time, in the SEC. He and Hester are legendary. I love that Jake went to the next level and showed that he was more than just a plotter, know. But, and then, of course, the emergence of Burrow and everything that happened. I don't know if people realize at LSU, those are men in that locker room. It's tough. It's a man's world. The weak do not survive at LSU, okay? And for Joe Burrow to walk in there and take on that locker room and win them over with his toughness and his excellence and everything, and then lead them to a championship, that was fantastic. Because I'm telling you, when you walk in to that locker room as a backup quarterback from Ohio State, there's not one guy in there that believes in you, and you come in there and win them over. That was something to see as well.
All of 2019 was a pretty incredible.
It really was. It really was.
For the ups and downs of Orgeron's time in Baton Rouge, I think anybody would trade all of the downs for what 2019 was. It was
incredible. It was incredible. You knew the talent was great, and it was actually better than we thought. It was like, oh, come on, this is. Because that Alabama team was good as well, and that was quite the game. And then even the Georgia, the SEC championship game, Georgia's hanging for a while, and then, Joe makes that scramble, and he hits JJ on that play. It was, and then he points to the ring. It was, you can't even pretend. But, those games, the fan base, just everything about coming to Baton Rouge is fantastic.
What's interesting, and Gary Danielson's our guest. I'm listening to you talk, and I can, this as well as I do. You come here, you just, there's so many interviews, and you talk so much. You still, have this very obvious passion. Is there a point, I'm not saying, you're going to walk away, where you
well, it's coming to an end. It's time for somebody else. Somebody said, "Are you going to miss it?" And I'm going to say no for one important reason. It's time. I've done this will be my 34th year of doing this. I started in 1990. My first game was Ty Detmer against Miami when he basically won the Heisman.
Wow.
So I've been doing elite level games with Hall of Fame announcers, Vern, Brent, now Brad, the A game for 33 years. And I prepared like I played. But the reason I said I'm not going to miss it is I've had my run, and I hate to say it, but when I dream, and it's why I respect the game so much, and I give so much to when I do a game, I know what it's like to play. And it's hard. It is really hard. It's why the coaches get frustrated with us sometimes as announcers. It's impossible to pick up every strategy that they're trying to employ. But when I dream, I still dream as a player. I don't dream as an announcer.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm still, that pass. If I could, just 3 inches higher, the game. I missed 2 crossing routes.
Which game do you remember? Which game do you dream about specific games or plays?
Yeah, I do. And there's all of them.
At Purdue? Or in the pros?
I wasn't great at Purdue. I got to be honest. I was a much better. I was young. I was 17 when I went to Purdue. Oh, wow. Here's another interesting one. My first college game that I ever saw live was when I was a freshman at Purdue, and Mike Phipps was the All-American quarterback, and they're playing at home against Jim Plunkett at Stanford.
Wow.
Okay, so that's freshmen weren't eligible, so we're watching the game. And both players threw for over 400 yards, and Purdue won 35-34, 38-37 with the last-second play. And I went, damn, this is fun. Now, we never reached that level. Otis Armstrong and Darryl Stingley were my 2 backs, and we went more running. That was when the wishbone was big. My senior year, I actually ran the wishbone at Purdue. So I was a little frustrated and mad. Maybe I would have transferred, in today's modern world. But it toughened me up, made me humble, made me appreciate the good times. And so that's why I'm so respectful of the game, so respectful of the fans here in the SEC. I'm aware of, the social media and stuff like that. I don't dwell on it because it's fine, whatever they want to say. But I do say the fans, to me personally, I've never in 17 years been disrespected by anybody, ever. And the fans are passionate, and they get a little reputation as being out of control, and sometimes maybe they do, but never to me. Never personally. So I just respect that it's their game. It's their way of life. When I entered, I never wanted to pretend that I was an SEC guy. I've got a job to do. I'm not McElroy. I'm not Aaron Murray. They played here. So I just took my job, did my job. The only frustrating part of this, sometimes it gets on me. And the 2 reasons why, one reason I avoid it is I don't want to play to the crowd. I mean, everybody wants to be liked, but I want to call the game straight. So I kind of avoid it. But I hate when it's all about me after the game. It's like we've got 70 people that travel these games. CBS takes an immense amount of pride in putting out a product because we know the fans love their college football. So we work really, really hard at it with some of the most skilled people in all of the world. Our cameramen are the people that put on the Masters. Our tape people are veterans from all over the country that come in here. And then for it always just to be about 1 or 2, I should have said this, he did. That's the only thing I don't like about it is, gosh, our guys kick butt every week. We are very proud of how we've represented this conference.
I know you got to work with one of our personal friends, Mark Grant, who's director of CBS, who's phenomenal. LSU guy, Baton Rouge guys. Been great to us on the show over the years, but echo those sentiments for sure. We're here at Radio Row SEC Football Media Days. Our conversation with Gary Danielson, we broke it into 2 parts. When we come back, we'll let you hear some of what Gary said about this coming season and a very, very, very interesting story about covering less miles. That's when we continue here from Radio Row. Our coverage all week brought to you by HUDCO Roofing and HUDCORoofing.com, and, of course, Rev and Relief Windows. Stay with us here on AFR.
AFR.
This summer, retirement is a state of mind. Whether it's a mid-morning activity or an early bird special. Grab a Coors Light and chill like you're retired.
Bayou Ford has $8,000 off MSRP, plus 1.9% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks, along with Bayou Ford's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Rev Business started small in 1935. We built our reputation by providing hometown service with Louisiana hustle. For nearly 90 years, we've expanded across our great state, through the swamps and across the Mississippi, bringing fiber optics from the capital to the North Shore and down the bayou to the coast, all to connect your business with the world. Rev is about big business technology with small business personal service, powerful solutions, unmatched local service. Rev Business.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luber for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Live from the 2023 SEC Football Media Days presented by Hudco Roofing. After further review with Matt Moscona.
Going to move quickly here. The second part of our conversation with CBS analyst Gary Danielson. Gary Danielson's with us here for a couple more minutes. As you were talking, you jogged a memory. Didn't you call it would have been the 2004 Sugar Bowl, LSU's national championship against Oklahoma?
Yes, exactly.
That was
with Brent. With Brent. Yes.
And Lynn Swann was on the field, as I recall.
Yep.
It's weird how sometimes things jog. Right. That was I was a senior at LSU that year, so
Marcus Spears.
It was a day that I never thought I'd see in my life. Quite honestly, to see LSU win a national championship because it had been 45 years.
It had been my second national championship. I called the original BCS championship
with Tennessee?
No, I called the Florida State Virginia Tech Michael Vick game, and that was quite an experience too.
That was also in the Superdome, of course, that day. If I could fast forward to this year, I'd love a thought on Brian Kelly, especially because we mentioned you played at Purdue. You've had.
I've known Brian forever. He's from He coached at Grand Valley. I know guys that went there. I know people that sent their sons there. So, as smooth as Brian is with the media, and he's got that corporate feel to it. I mean, he's not like lesser Coach O. I mean, it's a different feel. He is intense, man, and you got to produce when you play for him. He knows how to win. He has his program. He's won everywhere. I got a tremendous amount of respect. I was called by some Lion people back in the day, and they asked who the Lions should hire as the next coach, and I was pushing for Brian Kelly to be the Lions. Christ, the Lions change coaches so often I can't remember. I don't know, to tell you the truth. It's got to be 10 years ago.
So in the last decade or so. Okay.
So I think he's a winner. And I respect what he's trying to do here too. It's why I came here. I was, and I could have continued to do national championship games at ABC. I chose to come here because I wanted to be a part of this. I wanted to feel the intensity Brian wanted to feel and win a national championship, and I it's going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to be tough because Georgia has now reemerged. And now with Texas coming into the league and Oklahoma, it's not going to be easy. It's like an NFL. It's like winning an NFL championship in this league.
Do you get to analyze or start to look at the teams far before the season?
A little bit. Not.
It's a different job.
Well, you always have to be up on it. You just don't take off 4 months. You have to be up on college football. I mean, I'm aware, that the LSU has got a lot. They got the 2 tackles back that were freshmen last year. The tight end back in Taylor. They got a good receiver. I mean, I know Kelly's going to have his defense with Perkins built around there. So I mean, they're a good team. It's just hard to win them all. I mean, that's why I kind of like this 12-team playoff thing. The other way was just, man. Last year Bryce Young goes down with a shoulder. I mean, he plays a remarkable game against Tennessee there where they don't win. They're out of it, like that. So I like where it's headed, but I don't know what's going to – it's also another thing is, like, I get the gambling part of it with inside information, but no one has more inside information than me before a game.
You get to go to practice.
Yeah, I get to go to practice. I get to interview players. I watch 3 games of tape. I know who's injured. I know who's not. I never write down who's going to win the game. I don't bet, but I never I didn't see that coming. It's funny. The other thing, and it's because I played for the Cleveland Browns. I was part of the team when we lost. We were the best team, and we lost to Elway on the drive. We score with 2 minutes to go. I mean, Elway was not having a great game. We kick off to them down to the 3-yard line. They're going into the wind, into the snow, into the best defense in the AFC, into the dog pound, and their receivers aren't as good as our defense. He drives them down and wins. And I'm going, this momentum thing is really way oversold. So people haven't noticed, but that in the whole 17 years here and my whole career, I've never used the word momentum in a broadcast ever. Don't believe in it.
You've never said the word momentum?
No.
Wow. I feel like there's got to be a fact checker somewhere saying, Gary,
no,
back in 2007.
I get run. I get runs. You know what I mean? But I don't believe, I don't buy in they got all the momentum now, because Nick calls it the process, but the last play, what bit difference does it make? You got to do the next play, so.
Before you go, and your time's so much appreciated, I could listen to you just tell stories forever. I mean, you've got so many of them. If you would, something memorable, not from a game, in your time getting to call LSU games. You mentioned all the practices, all the coaches, all the players, something that didn't see the camera or didn't get to the microphone that you'll remember.
Les got really mad at me. really mad at me.
He's got really mad at all of us
I
at some
know.
point.
And I had to go meet him privately. And it was over Glenn Dorsey. And, I had said publicly I didn't think he should be playing.
I remember that, yeah.
And
it was Auburn game.
Yes,
It was Auburn.
yes. And I went down on the field. I didn't think he was ready, and I said something like, "This is when some adult needs to step in and protect it." And Les was really upset. So I met him, and Les had his finger in my chest because Les. And I was going, Les. My tackle with the Lions played with you. He went on spring break with you. Do you want me to talk about spring break in Florida when you were at Michigan?
Oh, no. Yes, let's hear that.
Because I know everything about your time in Michigan. He just looked at me and no, but I loved Les. I guess the overall is just that you had to be a man to play at LSU. You just the whole locker room scene, they did not accept weak people. Les did not accept weak people in his program.
Well, it's hopefully your final go-round with CBS with the SEC contract is another memorable one.
It will be.
For
it
LSU,
will be.
And for LSU.
So what, 13 championships in 17 years? That's not bad, is it?
Not bad at all. The league has been on a remarkable run.
We want to thank the fans. It's been a great run. They've been so great to me, and they love their product, and it's really the backbone of this conference is the fact that the fans demand excellence from their teams, from their coaches, from their quarterbacks, to the radio shows, to the announcers. If you don't bring it, if you're not prepared, they let you know.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Yeah. Not only here for these few minutes you've given us, but all the years we've been able to welcome you in our homes with Vern and with Gary,
appreciate
obviously. And well, of course, we're Brad now, but we appreciate the time sincerely.
It's been great. Thanks a lot.
Gary Danielson, really fun conversation. Hope you gained some perspective on him. How about his deep appreciation for Hester? And even when Gary finished, Hester walked up here and they kind of hugged, and I'm telling you, it was deep respect for the player he was. It's after further review. All right, we're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. Call 924-2020, 924-2020. If you want to see 2020, call 924-2024 at the Williamson Eye Center. Our friend Dr. Blake Williamson, incredible work. Gave me an incredible gift. LASIK almost 5 years ago, and still to this day seeing better than 2020, which I didn't even know was possible. If you're someone who wears contacts or glasses and you've ever thought to yourself, man, I hear people talk about LASIK all the time, let this be the push. In this moment, let this be the push to go for the consultation. At least have that conversation, that no obligation consultation, to see if LASIK is the right answer for you, to ditch the contacts and glasses forever. Call 924-2020, 924-2020, or go to williamsoneye.com. That's Williamson, EYE.com. All right, we are at Radio Row, SEC Football Media Days here on Day 2. As Day 2 is winding down, but we still got a busy 5 o'clock hour ahead. Our buddy Chris Marler is going to be with us from Saturday Down South. Our conversation with Mississippi State quarterback Will Rogers coming up as well. A ton to do, and glad you're hanging out. We will wrap up hour number 2 next here on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Clegg's Nursery, with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. You know where they are. Siegel Airline, LA-16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Get on by and see our friends at Clegg's if you're looking to beautify those flower beds or patio pots. Of course, got all the flowers. Of course, our Mother's Day tradition, I tell you every year, is on Mother's Day, I go to Clegg's with Erica. We buy a whole bunch of flowers, and I have to help her plant them, and I can't complain. But even beyond that, we had Drew's birthday party this past weekend, and so much was cleaning our exterior space and getting rid of things like wasp and ant hills and other pests. They have all of that. Basically, anything you'd find at a True Value hardware store, you can also find at Clegg's Nursery. They've got Johnny Naylor seeds, so if you're a green thumb, you want to plant that vegetable garden or whatever it is, Clegg's has got you covered. Any of their 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Tell you every day to buy local and shop local. A great local business that supported our community for more than 60 years. It's our friends over at Clegg's Nursery. So as we always say, buy local, shop local at Clegg's Nursery.
3.99% financing on select 2023 models at Corvell Toyota in Opelousas. And we also have a large selection of pre-owned inventory. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corvell Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. A caretaker who was indicted after taking a wealthy family for a ride maintained her innocence in her first court appearance before a judge today. Melba Bro is charged with cruelty to the infirm after prosecutors say she changed a wealthy man's will 20 days before his death, naming her the beneficiary of his bank accounts, business, and multi-million-dollar condo. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225.
Live from the 2023 SEC Football Media Days presented by HUDCO Roofing. After further review with Matt Moscona.
Wrapping up hour 2 here from Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days. Day 2, of course, we do appreciate HUDCO Roofing, HUDCORoofing.com, making our coverage possible all week long, and also presented by Rev Business and Relief Windows. Great friends and great sponsors that are helping bring you this coverage all week long. It was Georgia Day as well, of course, trying to three-peat, something that hasn't been done in 90 years. But earlier today, Kirby Smart denied a story that had gone around about him telling the team that they would be projected to go 7-5 a year ago. And then one of his players contradicted him first. Here's what Kirby had to say.
You're not thinking about the last season. And I think sometimes as media, you guys want to make it about, well, what are you going to learn? How are you going to combat this? Like, all we're thinking about is the next 24 hours. Like, how can we get better in the next 24 hours? I'm not sitting here thinking of some motivating factor. People are like, well, what are you going to tell your team this year? You're going to tell them people are going to say you're going to be 7-5? No, I've never said that anybody thought our team was going to be 7-5. We expect to be good at University of Georgia. We want sustained success. So we have to do that by winning every day. And that's not going to change whether we win it or not this year.
And then Nolan Smith in the national championship postgame said this.
They thought we was going to go 7-5. We end up perfect. I could talk trash now because I'm done. I'm a dog for life, and I will always be a dog.
Kirby in front of a room of 1,000 people with cameras and recorders rolling says, I never said they were going to be 7-5. Yet there was Nolan Smith right there saying they thought we were going to be 7-5 after the Natty. Nice try, Kirby. All good, though. Now, but do what you got. It's the Michael Jordan thing from The Last Dance, where he even acknowledged that he made up the story about what the guy said to him to try to motivate him to go off on him. I mean, it's what great ones do. You find your motivation from wherever you need to. But I'll tell you, if you were not here earlier at the start of hour 2, we talked to Aaron Murray. It was I really thoroughly enjoyed the convo, but he had high praise for Carson Beck. And Beck is one of those guys that was highly recruited, a big 6'4", 200-plus pound quarterback with a big arm who's had the benefit, the luxury of sitting and waiting and watching for a couple of years now. But now it's his turn, and we'll see if he can lead Georgia. And the one benefit certainly that he will have is they have a smooth, clear path all the way to Atlanta if they can avoid whatever tripwire might exist. Okay, hour number 3 is next.
AFR.
As we put a button here on hour 2 from Radio Row, got to remind you about our friends over at Traction Sports, TractionSports.com. Man, I'm looking forward to getting back in town, getting back in the gym with Tev and the gang over at Traction. Hey, look, if your son or daughter plays sports and you want them to maximize their physical ability, you might think, well, isn't track just baseball? They do a ton of baseball. But they have sport-specific training for any sport. If you have a daughter that runs track, if you have a son that plays lacrosse, maybe a volleyball player or football, baseball, basketball, whatever it may be, if you want them to get bigger, stronger, faster, more flexible, whatever that specific sport may require, golf, if you need sport-specific training, HUDCO offers it. They have memberships. They have small group memberships, so your son or daughter can have unlimited sessions per month for a very reasonable price. Learn more about the pricing, the model, all of it at the website at TractionSports.com. That's TractionSports.com. They always say Traction, where champions are made. Online again at TractionSports.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
This summer, retirement is a state of mind. Whether it's a mid-morning activity or an early bird special, grab a Coors Light and chill like you're retired.
Bayou Ford has $8,000 off MSRP, plus 1.9% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks, along with Bayou Ford's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Northwestern will launch 2 external reviews into its athletic department in the wake of investigations into hazing and bullying that resulted in the firings of football coach Pat Fitzgerald and baseball coach Jim Foster. The Chargers' Austin Eckler, among those voicing frustrations on the absence of long-term deals before yesterday's deadline for fellow running backs Saquon Barkley of the Giants, the Raiders' Josh Jacobs, and Cowboys' Tony Pollard. He wants answers from owners regarding the NFL's soft running back market. For change to happen, though, the union needs to step in, advises ESPN's Damian Woody.
I think this is something that the NFLPA is going to have to look at and try to figure out, do we have to have some type of special designation for running backs, carve out something for running? They got to do something, look into this more in order to figure out this running back situation, because right now it's just ridiculous.
Damian Woody on ESPN Radio Mornings. Former LSU right-hander Paul Skeens, the top overall pick in Major League Baseball's draft, signed a contract with the Pirates, includes a record $9.2 million signing bonus.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR from Radio Row, SEC Football Media Days. I was tweeting that our next guest is joining us, and it just hit me as I was typing it out. He's on Twitter at Vern Funquist. I just had to start typing Vern Funquist, and it made me laugh. Chris Marler from Saturday Night Down South is good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. How are you, dude? Nope, sorry. There it is.
Okay.
Got him. There it is.
I'm good. It's good.
It helps if you turn the mic on. My bad.
Well, yeah, that's fine. I don't know how to do this thing. This looks nice. It's like my DJ
my fault.
equipment. Okay.
My fault.
I was going to blame you regardless.
For sure. I didn't expect you to turn the microphone on. It was a general, plural
Yep.
view. Anyway, you had a nightmare scenario getting here. Can we relive that for a second?
Absolutely. Have you ever flown Spirit?
Yes.
Have you ever flown Spirit, but it's disguised as Delta? Because that's what happened for me.
I would like to say that I had a wonderful experience on Spirit. Now,
on Spirit? Like the movie from like Encanto type thing, or what?
Was it a horse movie?
I think so. I'm a horse guy, not like a horse girl. You know what I mean? I don't know why I said that. That was uncomfortable. I gotta go.
I flew to Austin. My best friend, I'm his daughter's godfather, went for the baptism.
Okay.
Flew Spirit. It was like $30.
Right.
And I was literally just going on a Friday night.
Yeah.
And coming back the next day, and it was really easy.
Yeah.
Now they charge you for everything.
For everything.
If you want to breathe air, they charge you.
Right.
And so I didn't need anything. I just sat in my seat and flew and then left.
Spirit is like if you're a freshman in high school and you're like brother's friend, or you're like he's a senior. He's like, I'm gonna give you a ride, but you're gonna hate every minute of it. Like you're gonna sit in the back on top of like a subwoofer, blaring old school Kilo Ali. Like that's the whole thing.
Yes.
Which actually sounds pretty awesome now that I think about it. I flew Spirit out of New Orleans for my buddy's bachelor party, and when I say flew, I mean I did not, because I didn't make my flight, and they did not really help with that. Delta, I flew Delta this time like an adult, and it went over so poorly. It just went over so poorly. I'm not making this up. We're sitting there, and the flight is from 11 p.m. from Atlanta to Nashville, right? They delay it from 11 to 12:30. At 12:15, the crew shows up, and I'm like, we're not getting on this plane. This lady comes over, and over like the little phone thing, she goes, the flight's canceled, and just hangs up the phone. And I was like, that is less closure than I've had in most of my relationships, so that is a lot. And so then she comes on. She goes, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. The flight's canceled. You need to go sit in line at the customer service thing. So I'm like walking back and forth. I don't know what I'm going to do. I go get in the back of the customer service line like 20 or 30 minutes later, and she goes, is there anybody on this flight 553? And I raise my hand. She goes, go to the gate right now. And I'm like, okay, so I run. Very fast, by the way. I'm a very fast person. Don't let this shirt or haircut fool you. Very fast. Wind resistant now.
I believe you.
I know. Okay. So
I think you wore a hat last year.
No, I just had hair.
Got it.
Yeah. So I had a whole Britney episode this offseason. So I just, after we lost to y'all in Baton Rouge, I just had to shave it all off. No, so we sit on the plane, and they go, the pilot comes on. I'm not making this up. I'm sitting next to the lead singer of Seven Dust, which I don't know if you're familiar.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. He was like, are you familiar? And I was like, yeah, I played JV football. I get it. Like, it's a whole, that's like. So,
I did rock radio in the early 2000s. I actually do remember Seven Dust.
So we're sitting there, and the pilot comes on, and he goes, I don't know how to tell you guys this. It's been a long day. But I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you guys. They just want us to taxi you out and then spend 10 minutes on the runway to alleviate the line from customer service. And I was like, are you kidding me? It was like the candor was off the charts. The candor was off the charts. But it was also like
we
the
are
worst.
holding you hostage.
Yeah. And so we got off the plane at 2 a.m. Anyway, so let's talk about literally anything else.
Oh, man. Yep. Let's talk about LSU beating Alabama in Tiger Stadium last year. How fun was that?
So I was in Athens, so it was a nightmare for me. It was
good.
Yeah. It's the second time I've been. See, LSU's beaten Bama twice in the last 11 years. I was in Athens for both of them, so I'll never go back to Athens again.
That's 2 times in 4 years, actually.
Well, both, but yeah, all right, that's fine.
I mean, if you want to go back 100 years, we could make it look as good as you want, but it's 2 out of the last 4.
And here's the thing, too. I always say this about Death Valley because it shocks me to this day. That is the 6th win they've had against Alabama in Death Valley since, 1957.
Yeah, it's stunning.
But what you said was there's twice in 4 years. Let's not forget that 2021 season, they should have beaten Alabama again. And did everything they could to lose and throw that game away. But, yeah, you're talking about, a rivalry that's, always been, what it was in the early 2010s, which was, just a 3.5-hour war. I feel like we're getting back to that.
I mean, obviously, as an LSU fan, I want LSU to win and hold up their end of the bargain. The games during the 8-game losing streak, the ones in Baton Rouge, anyway, generally were competitive. Mm-hmm. But you can't win if you don't score points, and that happened, too, a couple times to LSU where they just got shut out. Chris Marler's with us. He's on Twitter at Vern Funquist, Saturday Down South. Follow him on Twitter. Because your Twitter, you lost your Twitter, so you lost all your followers. Got a new Twitter now, so you're trying to build it back up. So go follow him on Twitter at Vern Funquist. He's worth a follow, even though he's a Bama guy. But maybe that's part of the fun, actually.
Yeah, there you go.
I think – okay, I'm not going to tell you what I think. I'm going to ask you your opinion first. Okay. How good is Bama going to be this year?
I think they're going to be better than people think, and the reason why is I think that defense is going to be a lot better than people think. There's some anomalies from last year's team that made no sense, and I think you look at it 2 different ways. The Bama fans and fans in general always love to blame the coordinators, right? Bama was top 10 in the country in offensive and defensive scoring. On both sides of the ball. They get rid of both coordinators. Everyone thinks it's an automatic upgrade. I don't necessarily think that's true. One of the things I did not like that we didn't see, the things that stood out the most, you were 4th in the country in yards per carry. You were 82nd in the country in rush attempts per game. That is astounding to me. You also were 3rd in the country in yards per attempt on defense, only giving up 5.7 yards per attempt through the air. You were almost last in the country, or at least in the SEC, in interceptions. You only had 7. It's the first time in Saban's last 14 years they've had single-digit interceptions. Wow. Only +2 in the turnover margin. I think that changes. I think the defense is a lot better than people think. I think they lose to Texas, but the big thing is...
Oh, really?
I do. I do think they lose
Why?
to Texas. Because I don't think they have the quarterback situation figured out. And Sark, on script especially, is so good. He's just so good. I think that is like a situation in week 2. If that game's played in week 10, sure. But, we have Mercer in Week 10, so it's like you got to make room. Yeah.
Wow. If
I just throw you off the Texas thing?
Yeah, really did. Because, boy, I don't know that I think Texas wins in Tuscaloosa in Week 2. But I was thinking, do I want to explore that more? But I'm way more interested in if you think that LSU is going to win the West again.
I don't, because I think Bama does. And the only reason why is this. I think LSU is going to be so good on offense. I just have a hard time getting past what LSU did the weeks following the Bama win, when you had everything in front of you. You had, and fans aren't going to like this. They deserve to win it. It was incredible in Brian Kelly's year 1. Year 2, you would assume they get better. It's tough to win in Tuscaloosa, right? They've had a tough time beating Alabama in general. I think it's a revenge game. But the thing is, for me, when you had everything in front of you for LSU the week after, right, when you get vaulted up to number 5 in the country from, I think it was like 14 or something like that in the CFP rankings, you get by Arkansas, who was playing a backup quarterback, 13-10. Then you go to College Station and you lose to what was arguably the second worst team in the conference and the worst offensive team in the country, and you lose by 15. I just have a hard time getting past that, only because I think that not enough people talked about it when it happened, because they beat Bama and then they put up 30 in what I consider somewhat garbage time against Georgia. And I think that the majority of the off-season hype from last season, from what we saw on the field, not just like what we see in returning numbers, it was from those 2 moments.
Okay. I don't think that's altogether unfair. I can explain what I think happened in the Arkansas game, which is Arkansas didn't play their starting quarterback.
Right.
You're always going to have – LSU will always have a letdown after Bama.
Yeah, that's fair.
Always. And I think LSU knew they could just put their hand on the little kid's head while he just swiped at it because KJ wasn't there.
Yeah.
And Harold Perkins was just incredible.
He's a monster, man.
The A&M game, I think, is a product of LSU was really over at skis last year.
Yeah.
They were. They were capable of beating teams like we saw, and they were certainly capable of losing like they did to Tennessee. So I'm curious if LSU finds stability, but I think LSU is going to be picked to win the West.
I don't disagree with the
I think
media
here
doing
people are, as much as I'm talking to everybody here, I think people here are, and we're never right. The media gets this wrong every year, but I think the media is going to pick LSU to win the West.
You know what I think too is that, like, last year I said the whole revenge tour thing about Bama. I had Georgia beating Bama in the SEC championship, because I thought they would make it. But I had Georgia winning the conference, and I also had Bama not making the playoff, and I was pretty adamant about that since like July. Year before, I had the same thing. I had Georgia beating Bama in the national championship, and that happened. This year, I think that there's such a want, and we've seen on the field how they have regressed. The great want.
Did you just channel Les Miles? What did you just do?
I would never.
There's a want?
There's a massive want, I think, from fans and media alike that this whole Saban thing is done. And it's not because they dislike Bama. It's because we're so tired of seeing the same thing. Like, I again, grew up a Bama fan. I am as objective as possible. But even I am tired of writing in Alabama and Georgia every single year.
Yeah.
It's we've done it ad nauseum.
Okay. Chris Marler at Vern Funquist on Twitter, Saturday Down South. Last thing, what coaches are here this week that will not be here next year?
Oh, that's good. Saban. 15-0, rides off in the sunset. No,
okay,
I'm
that's
kidding.
not true.
Okay, that's not true. And I also said they were going to lose to Texas, so I messed that up already. Man, that's good. I don't think it's Jimbo. I don't think that's the thing.
Really? Okay.
I don't think it's him.
I'll tell you my two.
Tell me yours.
Two that were here yesterday. It's Drinkwitz and Jimbo.
Really?
Yeah.
I see Jimbo I kind of like.
Drink's going into year 4. He's won nothing.
Right.
At some point, you just got to say, this ain't working.
Yeah.
And then I get the pushback on Jimbo because of the contract, but, man, you can't go 5-7 and then follow it up with another 8-4, 7-5.
Right.
Like, you can't.
Have you seen the schedule, though?
Yeah.
What's very interesting about the A&M thing is the first half of the season and the last half of the season, it's night and day with the schedule. And you're going to have two very real narratives that fans are going to convince themselves of in both halves of the season. It's going to be interesting to see if he makes it to the halfway point with any kind of positivity.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, man.
Where I know on Twitter, what else can people follow all your stuff?
So the podcast, College Football Uncensored, we always say if you love football and you hate the bleep button, you will love College Football Uncensored.
It's perfect for T-Bob. You should have his guest.
We try to get both of you guys on there. But, then I ruined our interview we had with you.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, it's 1,000% my fault.
We had a time scheduled. We didn't actually record an episode. We ended up just talking on Zoom for an hour.
We had an hour-long
Just
heart
you
to
and
heart.
me. We
Listen,
did.
I can't afford therapy right now. It's just very expensive in Biden's America. So that's all I'll say. I appreciate you having me on, man. Yeah, Vern Funquist on Twitter and Instagram, and then College Football Uncensored podcast as well.
Subscribe up to the podcast. Of course, it's free at College Football Uncensored. And follow him on Twitter at Vern Funquist. We had Gary Danielson earlier. So Gary and Vern. Gary's so good. You'd love him.
I do love Gary,
He's great.
but I also had a tweet go viral about Gary Danielson in Alabama about the hot dog eating competition that I don't think he would appreciate. It was it was about Alabama being like a one-loss team trying to get in the playoff, and then it was a picture of Joey Chestnut going to town on a hot dog.
And that was Gary?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a visual. All right, I got to go.
All right, we'll see you later. That's Chris Marler. This is After Further Review. We will continue here from Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days presented by Hudco Roofing.
AFR.
Hey, I want to take 60 seconds and remind you about our friends at River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001. That's where you can find them. 752-0001 or 1hourbr.com. Spell it out, O-N-E, 1hourbr.com. I love reading the great 5-star Google reviews. You know why? Because at River City's 1 Hour Air, they've got more than double the amount of 5-star Google reviews of the next closest competitor. Why? Because they treat people great, and they have for, my goodness, for 40 years. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with a giant clock on the side. You can't miss them. You see them all over town because they treat your friends and neighbors great, like you're a family member, like they've done for me. I always recommend when River City's 1 Hour Air comes to the house, make sure you inquire about their membership club. You get membership pricing, front of the line service always, and your standard complimentary seasonal maintenance. It's at River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has $8,000 off MSRP, plus 1.9% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks, along with Bayou Ford's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind. When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further.
Live from the 2023 SEC Football Media Days presented by Hudco Roofing. After further review with Matt Moscona.
Sincerely appreciate everybody hanging out with us here from Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days. Coming down the stretch here, hour number 3 of day number 2. And we did earlier today have a chance to catch up with Will Rogers, the quarterback from Mississippi State. One of only 5 quarterbacks here this week. So we had Jaden, of course, yesterday, Will Rogers today. Just 5 quarterbacks that'll be making the rounds here at SEC Football Media Days. And Rogers is an interesting one because he took over as the starter there in Starkville a few games into that 2020, that COVID season, after KJ Costello's hot start and then subsequently fizzled. But he started 32 games since of the 35 games that he's played in his career, the last 32 consecutive. And when he leaves Mississippi State, he very well could hold all of these significant career passing records in SEC history. So we had a chance to visit with Will Rogers from Mississippi State. We continue day 2 Radio Row SEC Football Media Days. Quarterback of the Mississippi State Bulldogs, Will Rogers, good enough to join us for a couple minutes. How are you?
Doing well. How y'all doing?
I'm great. So I want to know, I got to talk to all your teammates, and y'all all got Adidas Customs.
Yeah, they're pretty sharp, huh?
Did you get to pick the color, the style, the design?
Yeah, I mean, we got to pick pretty much everything.
Nice.
They had to, ship them off, and
Got your number on the front,
yeah,
too?
Yeah, they got my number, and then they got my name
clean.
on this one. So.
Very nice. Are you a sneakerhead?
Man, honestly, I wish I could say I was.
That's
but,
all right.
I mean, at the end of the day, they're just shoes.
I'll forgive you for that. I won't take that as an affront.
Yeah.
Hey, man, when you leave Mississippi State after this year, there's a chance you could hold every significant passing record in the history of the conference. When I say that out loud, what does that do for you?
I mean, I wish I could say that. I mean, I stayed up late at night thinking about it, and I'm sure it'll be cool to tell my kids and grandkids one day. But I'll worry about that when the time comes. I think right now my main focus is just to win these games, man. We're only getting 12. You only get 12 chances, to do it right and to win each and every week. So just try and take it week in and week out, and just try and become a better player every single week.
Yeah. I'd be remiss if I didn't obviously ask about Coach Leach.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure everyone you talk to today is going to ask you about him. What impact did he leave on your life?
I mean, tremendous. I think the biggest thing I take away from him is just, his everyday aura, just how he went about himself every single day. He didn't really feed into all the fluff you get with this job industry and things like that. He was just he was the same every single day. So I think that's something we can all learn from, is just be yourself. It doesn't really matter who or where you are, what your occupation is, or what you're doing with your life. Just be yourself and have fun with it. He definitely did that.
Did you ever read his book, the Geronimo book?
No, I haven't. I've seen it. I've not read it.
Okay, so no. Quick story. So I was interviewing Coach Leach. This would have been 2014 when the book came out. And I was like, if I'm going to interview someone, in particular about a book, I'm trying to read the book.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm thinking, this is going to be some, war theory, battle. He'll intertwine to football. It'll be relate. No, it was just a book about Geronimo. Yeah. It was just a book about an Indian guy. That's what the point. He was a fascinating cat, man.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, man. But obviously now, and look, part of this is just that there is a football component to it, which is you do have a new head coach now. So how has the transition gone for you? I mean, in your senior year, where you were one of the leaders of the whole conference, and now you're in your senior year, you have a new coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously it was pretty unexpected with happening with Coach Leach. kind of crazy timing too. But I think the transition went about as smooth as it could have gone. Especially with Coach Arnett here with us the past 3 years as the DC. I think it was really key for us to promote within, make Coach Arnett our head coach. Not only because he was with us the past 3 years and he knows the locker room and knows the guys at Mississippi State. Not only for that reason, I think he's also the best guy for that job. I think he does a really, really good job of, getting the guys motivated. You saw that on the defensive side of the ball for the past couple years for sure. So I think if our whole team can have that mentality, then we'll be in good shape.
Yeah. Will Rogers is with us, Mississippi State senior quarterback. What don't we know about Zach Arnett? Like, what do you know that the public doesn't know? We're all getting to know him, right?
That's something you're probably gonna have to ask him in the next 5 or 10 minutes. I know he loves just the little things. You ask him what he wants to do outside of football, he'll probably say get on the zero turn and put his headphones in and tell everybody to leave him alone. Which I'm right there with him.
What do you do outside of football?
I'm a hunter, man. I like being in the woods, hunting. Hunting season's coming up, but obviously football season's coming up, so I won't be able to hunt for a little while. But as soon as that Egg Bowl's over, I'm getting in it for sure.
I know. Look, man, we're in Louisiana, and there's a lot of people in the Sportsman's Paradise who are like, hell yeah, man.
Absolutely.
The guy who owns our radio station is a giant hunter. He don't make many football games anymore because he just goes to the camp. We got a couple more minutes here. When I ask you, and you still have another season, but when you do reflect on your career, if I say, what game of your career to this point is the first one that comes to mind, good or bad? What is it?
There's several. You have to think about some of the games you probably played well in. Maybe Auburn 2021, A&M 2021. Breaking the completions record against Arkansas this past year and winning. Those are all fun. And then probably top of the line is the Egg Bowl this past year, just because it's the Egg Bowl. I think as a guy from Mississippi, a guy that plays at Mississippi State, that game just means something different to all of us. And it's funny, recruits come in and then transfers will come in and they're like, "What's that game actually like?" And I'm like, "Dude, I can't put it into words for you, but you will know. Like the Sunday before, you will know that something's different about this game." So it's something that we care deeply about at Mississippi State, and we pride ourselves on, trying to be the best team in the state every single year.
Can this team win the SEC West?
100%.
What makes you confident?
The guys we have in the locker room, the guys that have played 4 years might be there in their 6th year of college, but with the whole COVID and how all that stuff went, guys have eligibility. So we have a lot of guys that have played a lot of snaps, and I think that's something that matters in this league. Obviously some teams are crazy talented, have crazy talent, but one thing that you can't really coach and have is reps. We have a lot of guys that have had a lot of reps and played a lot of games in this conference. So I know everybody that is wearing Mississippi State stuff in that locker room thinks we can, and quite frankly, that's all that matters. So
before you go, and I respect that, before you go, we are on in Louisiana. You got to play in Baton Rouge a couple times. Give me a thought on what it's like playing Tiger Stadium.
So my freshman year,
it was COVID. That was KJ Costello game. We don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, he did his thing, and I actually had I got tested positive that Thursday, so I didn't get to go, but I got to experience it this past year, and it's amazing. Yeah, it's really, really cool. It's obviously crazy tradition. Obviously, Coach Brian Kelly's doing a tremendous job. Won the SEC West. They're doing a really, really good job, and I think the biggest thing that I took away from that game is just how hard those guys played against us. At Mississippi State, we kind of pride ourselves on playing hard and playing with a chip on our shoulders and playing harder than the other team. But that's one of the only games that that I think somebody played harder than us. And it is what it is. Call it like you said. I think they played harder than us and they ended up winning the game. But I think Tiger Stadium's a really, really cool atmosphere. A lot of tradition at that stadium, and it's probably one of the coolest memories, just rolling out there in front of 100,000.
Tigers will have to deal with the Cowbells in Starkville this year, and number 2 as well, a guy who very well could end his career alongside names like Tim Tebow and Peyton Manning. It's pretty incredible when you think of the company that you're going to keep when your career is all said and done.
Yes, sir.
He is Will Rogers. Thanks for the time.
No, I appreciate you.
We're here at Radio Row SEC Football Media Days. Thanks to Will Rogers. Thanks to Zach Arnett, the head coach at Mississippi State, who was with us earlier. Gary Danielson, Chris Marler, Aaron Murray. Been a great show. Mr. College Football, Tony Barnhart. Been a great show. We appreciate you for being here. We're not done yet. By the way, want to remind you, our friends over at Shawbills, talk about them all the time. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills is hiring. They had a big event this Friday. So I want you to write this down. If you're looking for a job, or maybe you have a job, you're looking for a career, this Friday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at their Airline Highway location in Baton Rouge, they're going to have a big recruitment event. So if you have been thinking about a career change, if you're thinking about a career at a place that's going to afford you the opportunity for advancement, great benefits, working for people, whether you have experience in automotive service or not, Shawbills wants to talk to you. So ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Again, this Friday, mark it down, write it down, tell a friend. If you know someone who's interested, this Friday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Airline Highway location in Baton Rouge. ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, where we keep you rolling. All right, y'all. It's after further review from Radio Road SEC Football Media Day. It's been a really good day. We're not done yet. As we mentioned, we talked plenty of Georgia. We appreciate Aaron Murray for stopping by earlier. We talked State, of course, with both Zach Arnett, Will Rogers, who were with us. We talked some Auburn earlier today as well, as Hugh Freeze was back at SEC Media Days for the first time since becoming the Auburn head football coach. And it was also Vandy Day here, and we had a chance to visit with our buddy Chris Lee from VandySports.com. The Vanderbilt players, candidly, were in and out before we were able to get down here. So I didn't have a chance to have a sit-down with any of the Vanderbilt players this morning. But I did talk to Chris Lee from VandySports.com, and if nothing else, Vanderbilt's interesting because year one under Clark Lee, they won 2 games. Year two, they won 5 games, exceeding their 2.5 win total in Vegas, really doubling that projected win total. So what's the ceiling for Vanderbilt as they continue to improve? We'll talk about that with Chris Lee from VandySports.com when we return here on AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. It's Gordon McKernan, Injury Attorneys. Oh, by the way, have you seen their social media? Okay, so everybody who's inquired about the 8888 Reasons to Rally hats, they got a great update right now. So go to all the social media, check your email for an update. So if you went online to GordonGibbs.com and you tried to get one of the 8888 Reasons to Rally hats, check your email for an update from the Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys team. I think you're about to find out if you got yourself a hat. You know what to do. Get Gordon and get it done. If you've been injured in an accident and it's not your fault, our friends over at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys can help you like they've helped injured people in our state for more than 30 years. You can always call 888-8888. That's 888-8888, or go to getgordon.com. Again, online at getgordon.com for our friends at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Get Gordon. Get it done.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,500 off MSRP on all new 23 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Rev Business started small in 1935. We built our reputation by providing hometown service with Louisiana hustle. For nearly 90 years, we've expanded across our great state, through the swamps and across the Mississippi, bringing fiber optics from the capital to the North Shore and down the bayou to the coast, all to connect your business with the world. Rev is about big business technology with small business personal service, powerful solutions, unmatched local service. Rev Business.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Get 3.99% financing on select 2023 models at Corval Toyota in Opelousas. And we also have a large selection of pre-owned inventory. So come on
Live from the 2023 SEC Football Media Days presented by Hudco Roofing. After further review with Matt Moscona.
Rolling along here, Radio Row SEC Football Media Days. Had a chance to catch up with Chris Lee, our buddy from VandySports.com, to get a check-in on the Commodores. Back from Radio Row SEC Football Media Days, the Vanderbilt Commodores took their turn earlier today. Our buddy Chris Lee, VandySports.com, good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here to talk about the Doors. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Good to see you.
Our pleasure. Thank you. Biggest storyline takeaway from Clark Lee and the guys today?
I think it was a couple things. The culture that they've been trying to get in the program for a couple of years. The questions that we hear all week have been about Northwestern and NIL and building program culture. That's been his message from day one, is building those things where kids want to stick around. And I think that's, look, if you're Vanderbilt, you're up against a lot, right? We know all that, but the best way to build a program, I think in his circumstance, is to build a culture that kids want to stay around in and keep kids out of trouble. He's done a pretty good job of doing both those. I mean, we saw Georgia this morning, about the AJC stuff with Kirby Smart and Georgia and all that. I feel like in a time where some of the stories that are being talked about here, the things that make it very difficult for programs, I feel like he's done a good job of putting Vandy in a good position there, one. And number two, and it's funny, you see construction cranes everywhere. And everywhere. I mean, it's a disaster here in terms of just navigating. But they've got about $500 million worth of stuff going up on their campus. They have not done a great job of publicizing that, but he brought that up today and talked about it. So I think those were two things that were real positives for Clark Lee off the bat.
I look at Vanderbilt, and it feels like the ceiling at Vandy is what James Franklin was able to do here. Get to 8 or 9 wins, pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
Considering all of the inherent challenges they have that I think we all know in his time. Clark Lee went from 2 wins to 5 wins. Is this a team ready to take that next step to get to bowl eligibility and maybe beyond?
Maybe. I mean, I think they'll be better, but the bad thing about being Vandy and winning 2 games last year is look, as a coach, you can go to prepare for a game and you can say all you want about these guys can beat us. But when you've lost 26 in a row in the league, how much does that sink in with 18 to 23-year-olds?
Yeah.
I don't know. They've now done that twice. They beat a pretty decent Kentucky and a pretty decent Florida team. So they don't have that to where that's something that coaches on the other sideline can point to and say, hey, look, these guys can slip up on us. And if you don't think so, watch the tape of those. I don't know how much that plays against them this year. But on the other hand, they've got this whole thing of now we've beaten some people, so maybe that gets counterbalanced by confidence. I mean, really, a lot of times it's going to be dependent on the circumstances, right? James won 9 games twice, but the narrative the whole time, and it was true, is that's when the league was down. Tennessee was very mediocre. Georgia had not taken it to the Georgia level that it's at now. Florida was kind of down. So they took advantage of that. I don't know that window's there right now. It's pretty much not. So to me, it's picking off the games you can get, and I think that the biggest game probably for them is Wake Forest in Week 3 because if they win that, they got a chance to be 4-0.
So I did want to run through that. And Chris Lee, VandySports.com, opened with Hawaii in Nashville. That was a game they opened up on the island last year and won.
Yeah.
And I remember the Vegas win total on Vandy last year was 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're looking at, man, you get Hawaii, you're going to start 2-0, you just got to get one more. Lo and behold, they get to 5. Well, Vandy is at home. Hawaii's at home. You got to feel like that's a win.
Yeah.
Alabama A&M is a win. I mean, you're talking about a SWAC school. And then it's Wake Forest, UNLV before you get into conference play. No Sam Hartman at Wake Forest, and that game is in Winston-Salem. Is that one Vandy can win?
Yeah, I mean, and look, playing on the road hasn't been an awful thing for these guys. They snapped the losing streak in the league on the road. You've probably been to Vandy before.
Yes.
And it's a home field disadvantage. I think sometimes that does weird things when you walk out of the tunnel and it's 30,000 fans of the other team. I think sometimes almost playing on the road is a better thing for them, and Wake is not one of those. It's not LSU. It's not Georgia. So, yeah, I think that's a winnable game. They were in it for probably half the game last year. Wake was just further along. But with losing a super quarterback, I think that one's a lot more winnable this year at a place where, again, does the record get better than 5-7? I don't know. It depends on the back half of that schedule. But I think it's a better team even if the record ends up being the same.
Players that are notable to watch, AJ Swan's back at quarterback. Who won that job last year during the season. Wasn't the starter at the beginning of the season, but ultimately won that job. What's the ceiling there with AJ?
He's really good.
Yeah.
Look, he put up a lot of his numbers against the softer portion of the schedule. But, Matt, when you can come in this league as a true freshman and win the job in September and be confident. I mean, their first game – they went to Northern Illinois, and that's nothing like if you're LSU or Georgia. But for Vanderbilt, that was an accomplishment. NIU had won 9 or 10 games the year before. Looked to be pretty good. They were down 10, 14 points on the road. He brought them back, and they won the game pretty resoundingly. Threw 4 touchdowns, no picks in his first start. To me, that showed me a lot. When you can go on the road in the SEC and beat somebody in their building right away, that shows you've got something. Now, he's not – I dropped the Jay Cutler comparison on him a lot because in terms of the arm and confidence, he's the closest thing I've seen to it. Now, Jay was a better athlete. Jay Cutler was an all-state baseball and basketball player, and A.J. Swan's more of like a one-trick pony with football. But I see some similarities with him, but you also see a lot of good players second year in the league when you've got expectations and people know a little bit more about what you do, they fall on their face. That'll be the challenge for him. The talent's there, but how do you handle that success from year one and build on it in year two where people are expecting it a little bit more?
I can't get you out of here without at least one baseball question, so I'll get to that. Is this a team under Clark Lee that you think gets to bowl eligibility this year?
If I had to bet yes or no, I bet they wouldn't. But it's possible. And here's the thing. When you start pointing out where the games they win, okay, you can say the first 4, but then, okay, and then look, they got Kentucky and Missouri. So
they also beat Kentucky and Florida last year.
Well, right. And then Florida's not long. So I'm sitting here thinking, okay, on one hand, you don't want to say 6-0 when you're talking about Vandy because he's not. But the thing is, we talked about those first 4. They're going to be favored in 3. If they beat Wake, they're going to be 4-0 at that point, almost certainly. Well, then you look at they beat Kentucky last year. That's a national. I think Kentucky's better. They came that close to beat Missouri and Columbia last year. So if you want to really play around the edges and give them a bit of the doubt, that's 6 games they could win off the bat. Plus Florida, as you mentioned, not far behind it. Now, again, did they get other teams' attention? Yes. Are some of those other teams better? I think Missouri's better too. But if you'd said last year, okay, name where they're going to get 2 more wins after they got their doors blown off by Georgia and Alabama, you would have had a hard time saying anybody. But they won 2 games. That's how this league works.
Yeah.
I think they can put themselves in position. I think the hard thing is naming the 6. But I think after 5 and 7 and being close in a couple of the misses, I think it's possible.
You do a great job covering not just Vanderbilt, but SEC baseball. I know it's a passion for you. I got to get a thought a 10,000 foot view of this LSU baseball team in season?
Remarkable. I mean, you go back and look, Matt, you can frame the season at certain points, and it becomes, if you get stuck in that place, hard to think of how do they get through. And I remember the Mississippi State series where nobody could pitch outside of Skeens. And I think that was in Baton Rouge, was it not?
Yeah, it was.
So from that point of view, you would have said, okay, they're going to need Skeens and a miracle to get through to the end and win this whole thing. And I thought that them going to Omaha and not having to throw Skeens in the last game and still beating Florida after losing the first one was amazing. And look, you've seen kind of a pattern in the last 2 years, and you see arms that come out in the postseason that are more dependable than they were then. And maybe it's just getting out of the SEC and playing somebody else. Yeah. A lot of it is certainly the ballpark too, and certainly you got to credit Wes Johnson, their pitching coach, too, with a lot of stuff. But I thought that they found the right 5 or 6 guys, and when you can find the right 5 or 6 guys, you always figured the bats were good enough, and they were.
Yeah. It was it was fun to watch. Yeah. It was just a lot. You know it as well as I do. So often the best team doesn't win. We saw Tennessee a year ago was a great example of that. It's baseball. Weird things happen. To see the team with the expectation that had all the talent and everything to actually climb the mountain and plant their flag was a cool and fun thing to watch.
Well, and how many teams? I don't know if always. How many teams were preseason number 1 and wound up winning? And I can't think of many.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I'll leave that to you and your research. Southeastern14.com. If you want to check out Chris's SEC baseball coverage, Southeastern 14, but of course, VandySports.com for the Vandy coverage. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks as always.
Appreciate all of our guests who've given us their time here from Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days. One segment left to go here on day 2, and we'll put a button on it, give you some projections for the 4 teams that were here today, and kind of set the stage for what we're expecting here on day 3 from Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days. Stick around.
AFR.
Take 60 seconds to remind you about Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com. Of course, always encourage you to get to Rouse's.com or download the Rouse's app or check out Rouse's Facebook page. Remember, they always have their great weekly specials, so if you want to see what the weekly special is on that given day, you can always go to the Rouse's Facebook page, check it out, or at the app or the website, you can see the Rouse's weekly ad. It's all right there. Like right now, they're thrilled to announce their brand new Buy 4, Save More program. So you can get a great deal on select wine and spirits in the store. You get an extra 10% off your total purchase when you buy at least 4 bottles of wine or spirit. So come on in, try something new, and you have an opportunity to save big on wine and to experience new spirits as well, all there at Rouse's. But they've got so many different options for you at Rouse's. Download the Rouse's app, and you can learn more. Rouse's.com, Rouse's.com, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's, this feels like home.
Here at Corval Toyota in Opelousas, we have in stock 2023 Toyota Tundras, and you can get $1,000 special edition bonus cash. $1,000 bonus cash. So come on down to Happy Town. That's Corval Toyota in Opelousas, Happy Town, USA.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Make this summer your backyard party year with Chris's Specialty Foods. Wings, burgers, brisket, steak, and boudin, plus great Cajun side dishes. We do all the prep, and you enjoy laughing with friends and family. Chris's Specialty Foods, Millerville, New Orleans, Prairieville, and Frisco.
Everybody loves Chris's authentic Cajun meat.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com.
Live from the 2023 SEC Football Media Days presented by HUDCO Roofing. After further review with Matt Moscona.
Down the stretch we come. A final segment here from Radio Row, Day 2 SEC Football Media Days. Putting a button here on what's been a really fun day. A pretty busy day at that as well, all things considered. And, you know, what's really interesting, I kind of like to look at the win totals and what Vegas is thinking for a lot of these teams in the SEC. As we kind of run through media days, you get a much better feeling for, you know, how a team might do or what a projection is for a team. And I always do like to look at what the odds makers are saying, because Vegas generally is giving you something that is a completely unbiased point of view. It's something that where the only school color they really care about is green. It's about money. Well, you know, Georgia was at the podium today, and their projected win total in Vegas it's 11.5. It's essentially, do you think Georgia goes undefeated, or do they stub their toe? There's really only 2 clear opportunities for Georgia potentially to slip up. They play Auburn in Auburn on September the 30th, and look, maybe if that game was later in the season, year 1 under Hugh Freeze, you could make the case and understand why Auburn may be able to pull the upset there. But you know, the flip side of it is, I just believe Hugh Freeze. And I was having this conversation earlier today with our buddy Neil McCready, who covered Ole Miss for a long time, has covered Ole Miss for a long time, was certainly there whenever when Hugh Freeze was there, and he said it before I even could, which was, you know, there's going to be someone on that schedule that Auburn beats that they have no business beating. Now, my fear is that that's LSU. Now, his thought was that not in Baton Rouge. If that was game on the Plains, maybe. But I look at that Georgia game, and that is in Auburn in Week 5 on September the 30th. So maybe that's the one you could circle. Everyone else is going to circle Georgia's trip to Tennessee on November the 18th, the penultimate weekend. Maybe. But it feels like one of those ones where Georgia's going to be locked in because they're going to have to be locked in. They probably play their best and win that game. And who knows what Tennessee will be this year. But, you know, for Georgia at 11.5, my guess, look, it's just so hard to go undefeated. My guess is that they do slip up somewhere along the way. I think 11-1, but that still should be plenty good enough to get them to the SEC championship game. Auburn's win total is at 6.5. And you look at UMass, Cal, and that's in Berkeley, by the way. Auburn's going to Berkeley, Week 2. Samford, and then they head to College Station, and then they get Georgia. So if you win that game at Cal, they start 3-0, and then I think that Texas A&M game is the swing game to let you know what type of season it's going to be for Auburn year 1 under Hugh Freeze. Because you get Georgia, an open date, then LSU. That's something I'm going to tell you again, when you're looking at LSU, Auburn gets the open date before they come to Baton Rouge. LSU will be in Como against Missouri the week before they play Auburn. But you remember, it's Florida State, Grambling, which is a breather but on a short week. Then you go to Mississippi State, home against Arkansas, to Oxford, to Missouri, then you're home against Auburn. That Auburn game is one that I'm going to circle. It makes me a little uneasy as far as LSU goes, because if you are thinking that there's a spot on the schedule where Hugh Freeze might be able to jump up and beat a team he's got no business being, look at where that Auburn game falls. I know Auburn had a lot of success over the past 25 years in Baton Rouge, but that's one to keep an eye on. LSU cannot sleep on that game. Mississippi State, one of the things we talked about a lot today is just how many veteran players they have. And it kind of reminds me a lot. This is not a what comparison because it's not the same sport, but look at a team like Oral Roberts in baseball. And part of the reason Oral Roberts made that run to the College World Series this year is because they had a whole bunch of 5th and 6th year college baseball players, guys that had just played college, not pro guys, but guys that had played college baseball for so long, and they played for so long and so well together. This Mississippi State team is kind of like that. They've got a lot of guys that have played a lot of football and a lot of years together, and that makes them a dangerous team in spots. Their win total is at 6.5, but for evidence of what you think of coaches or how a schedule may go, Auburn and Mississippi State have the same projected win total at 6.5. And Auburn does not have players. What a hat tip that is to Hugh Freeze to say, yeah, they could probably get to 7 wins this year on the Plains. And then Vanderbilt, I actually think Vandy is easy. Vegas continues to sleep on Vanderbilt. I mean, their projected win total is 3.5. Last year was 2.5, and they won 5 games. I mean, Vandy very well could start 4-0. Their projected win total is 3.5. They play Hawaii, Alabama A&M, Wake Forest, and UNLV. Vanderbilt could start 4-0 this year and have that win total covered by the time they hit that. And remind you, they beat Kentucky and Florida a year ago. Vanderbilt is gonna win a couple of league games again, and I think if they start 4-0 and they go 2-6 in the conference, Vandy can get to bowl eligibility. But I like Vandy over their 3.5 win total. Clark Lee has gotten his guys, believing. Will Shepard, their best receiver, had opportunities to leave. Kid from Mandeville had opportunities to leave. Talked about it today. Said, I believe what Coach Lee is doing. So I don't think Vanderbilt's threatening to win anything of significance, but it's worth keeping an eye on. All right, it's going to do it for us here. Thanks to Rivers Huey producing on site. Muse Pauly back in studio. Of course, we appreciate y'all greatly as always. Thanks to all of our guests today. If you miss anything, AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. Book your tee time at golf.breck.org. Day 3 from Radio Row tomorrow. We'll see you then.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, remind you about South Point Volkswagen and SouthPointVW.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at SouthPointVW.com. That's SouthPointVW.com. Remember, they got vehicles on the way. The 24s, the 2024 Atlases are on the way. That's the 3-row, 7-seater family SUV. If you want to drive something new, something fun, something stylish that's also safe, how about the Volkswagen Atlas? Give it a go. Give it a test drive. Maybe before you even go to the dealership, look at it online. You know, the average car buyer now visits 1.2 dealerships before making a decision. A decade ago, that was 3 dealerships. The difference, of course, is people shop online, which is why the online shopping experience has to be so good even for your vehicle. So go to SouthPointVW.com. For our friends listening in Lafayette, Southwest Volkswagen is there for you. But SouthPointVW.com, you can shop all their inventory, new, certified, pre-owned. You can work out your financing. You can reserve your vehicle, all there at SouthPointVW.com. For South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction?
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,500 off MSRP on all new 23 Ram 1500 Laramie trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Rev Business started small in 1935. We built our reputation by providing hometown service with Louisiana hustle. For nearly 90 years, we've expanded across our great state, through the swamps and across the Mississippi, bringing fiber optics from the capital to the North Shore and down the bayou to the coast, all to connect your business with the world. Rev is about big business technology with small business personal service. Powerful solutions.